go. Nano for Profit takes down the legs. Looking for a little bit more, gets the Diva, and Profit off the Nano boost. That should seal it.
Yeah, why not just throw out the barrage there?
And Huppa, high energy on the point, looking to beam them all down. It's very back and forth between the two teams. Graviton, though, from Huppa, is that going to be a finisher? Shy still out on the outskirts, but doesn't matter. Huppa punches in the face.
Both Shy and IDK go down as Jester pops off the supercharger. Able to get so much damage here.
He's gotten more and more evasive as the round has gone on. The Nano on the EQO. Now looking, Lige gone. Oh, he takes it to the backside.
What? 2 rockets, 2 kill with the Nano Boost. EQO is a beast on this Pharah.
All right, welcome back, guys. It is time to get into our final knockout match. I am Achilles here alongside Avril. We'll be taking you through the action, and oh boy, do we have a series on our hands. The Philadelphia Fusion are going to be going up against the Seoul Dynasty, vying for that last slot to compete here at the end of the Countdown Cup. I mean, a close series we just saw there with Vicky Kitty and Jaws doing the commentating. Congrats on the completion of your season, by the way, guys, is our newest duo. But, well, I guess with us, and then there's also ZP and Doa. So one of the new duos. Yeah, you know, there's a couple of us, I suppose. But, yeah, I mean, close series there, but I feel like this one could be even closer. This very well could be a 5+ map set.
Absolutely. This match, by the way, just got played last week. This is a rematch. Both our matches that we had are rematches of games that we played in the regular season just last week, of which now, okay, Chengdu have beaten New York again in another fairly convincing 3-1 kind of result here. Seoul Dynasty now back up against the Fusion, who they had to reverse sweep last time to get the win. It looked like a very convincing Fusion kind of matchup here, and a 2-0 until the Seoul came in, and they got 3 in a row, performing their 3rd reverse sweep of the season. And unfortunately, Fusion, they have been reverse swept now twice this season.
Yeah, it's that 2-0 start, rather, I should say, for Fusion has been a very precarious perch. We'll see if they end up in a similar circumstance this time around, or if they can try to close things out a little bit smoother, or if they can reverse sweep this old Dynasty. That would be some crazy poetic revenge now, wouldn't it? Well, we seen our starting lineups. We see that our first map is going to be Busan, so a bit of home field advantage for the side of the Seoul Dynasty, I suppose. Let's see what happens. I mean, that you got the stat right there. 2-map lead, reverse sweep. You're
asking for a lot. You are asking for a lot because we haven't really seen Fusion do that so far.
Yeah.
But I'm expecting a lot from this matchup regardless. So heading out onto Busan now, the downtown map itself is all hotbar on the Zarya. 2U actually matching on the Zarya, and both teams playing Winston, notably here on a map that I think would be more specialized for a ball, but neither team wants to go for the ball straight away.
Yeah, a little bit of a gentleman's agreement, some firm handshakes perhaps coming through. Everybody just deciding to go for the Winston. I think for Jester in particular, it makes a little bit more sense, just given his history as a Winston player. Mono's going to be the first one to fall. Good opening pick here for the side of the Dynasty. They'll pull back over to the point now and should be able to lock this down first. Don't think we're going to be seeing any further contention, so Profit just going to go ahead and net this.
I mean, this is literally just a 1 kill as well. Mono was the only one that went down in Fusion. They respect it. They say, all right, we're not going to go in. No main tank available. Alarm is still only just a little bit behind Creative so far in terms of Nano, so we do have these Winston matchups. It does come down to who gets the Nano first, and Mono, he's dead again.
Yeah, I mean, they're just absolutely focus firing him. The hacks come in, they beam him down. Stayed alive for a little bit longer that time around, but couldn't make it out to safety, so it's going to be Gesture taking a firm lead towards that Primal Rage. Carpe's been doing some work when it comes down to getting the Pulse Bomb online, but I think the more crucial one is going to be the EMP, but right now Fitz is very much up in front. We'll see how Fusion try to engineer a retake of this point. 33% currently on the line, on board here for the side of the Seoul Dynasty.
Ideally, Dynasty don't even use an EMP here. Ideally, they just Nano in. Alarm probably responds to the Nano. No, he's actually hacked. That's a beautiful hack.
Yeah, they're looking for the finish. Decent healing coming through. Funny Astro keeping him topped up, and it's going to be the Primal Rage coming through in response. Sleep Dart maybe just about to come up, so Gesture will make his exit. They don't find any kills for that. That's going to be a double ult investment. Now Nano's out on a mono. EMP is going to come through. Hacks Hotba and Carpace. Cannot use the Graviton Surge so far in the fight, but it seems like they may not need it. This Gesture's been eliminated. Now Profit is going to be gone. That grab will come in the end, so decide to finally commit it to the fight. They will find the flip now, so just shy of 70% are the Dynasty. as Fusion finally take control.
I can tell you right now, Hopper's pretty much doubled 2U's damage so far in the Zarya. And, I mean, he's not double the ult charge because Hopper got the grab first, and obviously he's still doing damage while 2U's trying to catch up here. And if it wasn't for the EMP catching Hopper, he probably could have used that Graviton Surge a little bit easier. This is kind of funny now. Double translocators both put in the exact same space, and Fitz looking for the 1v1. Gets it.
Looking for, oh, yep, and he's going to get it. Drops down, has that little mini pack. Gets himself back to just above half HP. Gesture in the meantime, posturing forward, will get slept. It's knocked to the ground, and oh, he's line of sighted away from an Almost, so they cannot get the healing in to try to keep him sustained, so he will fall. Mono now pops the Primal Rage. EQO still holding onto the EMP as Fitz tries to lap, tries to catch up and get that second one online. Bubble comes in to keep Creative protected. Bionade, however, comes out. Carpet's got the Pulse Bomb to find both supports stacked in on top of each other. And EQO, he can hold on to this EMP still, so they still have a major defensive ultimate to use to continue to hold this.
And now they need to figure out how to get away from this Grav as well. They don't have great defenses against the Grav. Obviously, no team is playing the Zenyatta today, no Transcendences, but what they can do is play aggressively in terms of having this EMP active, get the Nano in there as well, force 2U's hand. If he solo grabs Mana while he's Nano, that's actually fairly good for the Fusion. That's a very low value grab, but they have to work around the grab. The good news for the Fusion is that 2U doesn't have an energy, because he's been dying this entire time. He just isn't doing enough damage, isn't farming enough energy, and so this Grav might not be enough unless Creative then can land a nade.
Now for a second, it looked like 2U might have been eliminated there. EMP will come in. That's going to be a 4-man. EQO cannot reply. Immediately gets picked off by Gesture. Now they turn their sights on the Mono. They will manage to get that elimination through. 2U throws at the grab, catches 2, hitting them right up against the architecture there. Kills come in, Flip's going to come through, and it seems like just shy, 7% away from forcing out that OT, but there's still a plethora of ultimates about to be online here for the side of the Fusion, so Dynasty need to pilot this very carefully if they want to win.
I mean, that was strangely passive from the Fusion. This was one of those fights where I understand if you want to milk the percentage points a little bit more on the cap itself. However, you need to be a bit more active than Salt in that fight because they do have Grav online. Fitz was on the EMP as well, and he catches everybody right now. It's EQO's turn. This has to be Fusion going in early and going in hard as well. I think it's a solo EMP onto Animo only.
Yeah, Creative will get dove on. However, now Fitz is going to fall. Prophet's still alive. Nearly has that Pulse Bomb online, just a couple percent away. Recall's going to be burned. Flip not yet coming through. OT starting to bleed away. Fusion will pull themselves back over to the point. Start retesting, start retaking control. Dynasty just have to let this flip happen and now have to try to wrest it out of their hands. But Fusion, they use just about everything in that fight. It's just a Primal Rage nearly there for Mono.
Prophet? Has to be Prophet's time. He's got the only real usable ult. Nano's available, rather, Rally's available for Animo as well.
Okay, Mono pops the Primal before the hack comes in, but he can't leap around. He can't get on top of any targets. Prophet, he's trying to do just that. Recall's going to have to be burned. He takes himself out to safety. Wants to try to peel for Fitz. Oh, no! Pulse Pump goes out right as Mono leaps away, so it's not going to find anything. Now Carpe's got another Pulse ready to go. Let's see if he can get another 2-for-1 special, perhaps. Throws it down right in the middle of the fight, but unfortunately is not going to be finding any picks for the side of the Fusion. The flip is there. They're off the point for just a moment as the EMP comes in. Like a rug being pulled out from beneath them, the Seoul Dynasty will take this first round. Downtown goes to them 100 to 99.
Push to misplay there from Fitz as well. Drops the EMP, dies for it, but it is good because it shuts down Hopper. And that's kind of what you need to do here if you are the Seoul Dynasty. Hopper is one of the primary carries on the other team, especially on that Zarya position. I actually think it's a bit of a throw coming through from Seoul to want to mirror this, put 2 on the Zarya. It's very clear that Hopper's going to be the better Zarya in this particular matchup. So for me, Seoul Dynasty, they would have a much better time, in my opinion, if they actually just played Gesture on towards the ball, 2 on towards the D.Va, keep everything else the same. Maybe then you can take Creative off the Ana here as well, put him on towards the Zen, and play more of a standard kind of Brig Zen dive with the Sombra Tracer. That to me should be the game-winning, or at least the series-defining matchup and composition for the Seoul Dynasty. And beyond that as well, it gives you the greatest opportunity to kind of diff the Fusion in your strong areas and their weak areas, because my kind of strengths and weaknesses as for both teams here is Fitz and Prophet. The Profits duo, I think, is stronger than EQ or Carpe in any combination of DPS that Philly could probably bring to the table today. However, Alam and Fani Asher are going to be the better support duo compared to Animo Creative. So those are the main differences between the whatever lines of the team in terms of DPS versus supports. You look over towards tanks, Gesture and Mana can play pretty similar things. Gesture's probably going to be favoring Winston here, even though I think that's a trap for his team. Mana can play it all, but Ball's been something they played a lot in their previous matchup. Hopper very much wants to play the Zarya. So if you play through Fitz as your win condition, then you can play around Hotba Zarya a lot better in terms of EMP shutting Hotba down really big time. Hacks on Hotba, really great as on towards that Zarya. Beyond that as well, Fitz is not going to get spy checked if Hotba's going to be playing Zarya the entire time. Fitz is already better as a Sombra than anybody else in the Fusion anyway. If you play to this strategy that I'm saying for the Seoul Dynasty, I think that's the greatest pathway to win, because Fitz can be the guy that carries you through if you play towards his strengths.
Yeah, I mean, it's a solid look. I mean, very close, very back and forth there, but unfortunately Fusion just kind of having to expend everything just to get that final flip and take it up to 99%, so they don't have anything to further defend with. As you guys have noticed, we're in a pause. So we should be going back in relatively soon, but hey, you know, it wouldn't be a hyped-up series if we didn't cut the action short with a tech issue. So we're getting things taken care of. We have our elves working on it, and then we should be ready to dive in momentarily. Green screen.
I also think as well, I mean, when I look at someone like Mano, he did quite a good job on the ball in the previous matchup. One of the other compositions that both teams played, but Seoul in particular played a lot, was actually the Orisa comp, and that's something I foresee we move into on further maps. Like, for example, I'll be keeping an eye on Mecha Base to see if the Orisa pops up or not, but more importantly, once we get to, you know, the hybrid assaults and escorts in the pool, that's when I expect Seoul Dynasty to flex further towards the Orisa, even though really in this particular matchup, based on what I saw from their previous matchup, if I was the coach of Seoul, my move would be to heavily go towards Gesture Ball and to Profit Fits in that Sombra Trace line. Or if you don't really trust the Gesture Ball, Marvel's been known to play ball. However, it does seem like Seoul has shifted away from moving Marvel into the main tank role and Gesture returning after they had their run with Marvel in the last tournament, and Seoul didn't quite get the results they were looking for.
Yeah, I mean, you think back to that trash talk segment we had ahead of that match last week, and one of the big things that Fusion had kind of posed was like, I don't know what's going on with your team. Like, who is your main tank? Is it Marvel? Is it Gesture? You can't really seem to make up your minds, but they've been pretty firm on Gesture as of late, and that, you know, that has had those hot and cold moments. I think Gesture was actually the one to take away the he got player of the match actually in that series, because when we got to, you know, King's Row, he went to that Winston and he absolutely started pounding with it. So I mean, it does show that maybe the comfort will beat out the comp when it comes down to just actually performing on the day. It's hard to say, but we'll have to see what they're going to be piecing together as we are going to be going into Mecha Base next.
My problem with that is if you do play Gesture on the Winston, and like you said, that's comfortable, right? Do you then really want 2U on the Zarya? Or do you prefer the Diva? Because in my opinion, Diva is 2U's signature hero. That's the hero that 2U has been most successful on. I actually think he's probably one of the better Divas if you only play him on Diva. The problem is if you play him on Zarya, that gives permission for Hotba to then also play Zarya. Not that Hotba needs permission. Let's be honest, Hotba's been playing Zarya the entire time, whether anybody wants to or not. And it's also my opinion that, you know, Zarya in this meta is a bit of a noob trap in the sense that it feels like Zarya could be really good, but Zarya can also just be this liability on your team, as we saw in Nepal in the last matchup, where that was map 5 and that was the map that Seoul completed their reverse sweep on, and Hotba Zarya at that stage looked like it was counted, looked like a liability. Fitz was hard farming him as a Sombra here. So I think for 2U, a Diva matchup will be better, and it is going to be a Diva matchup now finally, as we both teams are going to be looking at Orisas. No Zarya's to be seen, and it's going to be McCree plus Soldier for one side for Fusion. It's going to be May for Seoul Dynasty as well. Not a Hangzhou to be seen.
Yep, not at all. So barrier break potential very low, especially for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. But that being said, Funny Aster still gets collapsed upon. Jester finds the killing blow. Prophet just popping into that ice block real quick, keeps himself safe. They'll find Alarm on the back end for some extra stagger. And the first point lockdown will yet again go the way of the Seoul Dynasty. Now, I mean, they can get bunkered in with this Orisa setup, and attacking this as another Orisa becomes increasingly difficult. So that's why we're going to be seeing the swaps here. Thank you. It seems like the Fusion kind of listening in. That's exactly the point I wanted to make. They'll go now over to the Wrecking Ball, and Carpet goes to the Hangzhou.
Interesting that Fusion, twice in a row now over both sub maps, as soon as they lose one play, they respect it. They don't have the opportunity to go for a counter pick. Maybe they're just respecting Seoul too much there, but they straight away fall back. It's 2 neutrals, 1 now by Seoul in a row.
I mean,
the
they just took the point. They just took the point for free, and it seems like Dynasty might just regain it for free.
I mean, a back cap's okay. I'll take that.
Okay, well, just like that, 7% established, and Dynasty are back in control. I'm not really sure what's happening at the moment, but everybody just kind of playing around each other.
Well, Fusion lost a member, so I guess they go back to base. They lose 1 member, so I guess they all go back to spawn now.
Yep, retreat, restart. Can we go again? Is this a scrim? Can we restart the map? Not quite. Well, Window's going to come out. Hotbutt is going to be demexed there. Good shots coming in from Creative, and 2U pursues forward, so they will break him out. And kind of leave him to his own devices for now. Prophet, however, will fall. Carpe getting a nice shot. Transcendence is going to be used for alarms. They still want to push the envelope here and try to get this flip coming in. Deadeye comes out from Fitz, situated here on the high ground. He's cutting them off and trying to stop them from getting access over to the point. Buys a little bit of extra time. Just rolls back, continues to play this back angle. Dragon Strike crashing down below, doesn't really displace too many people, and Fusion this hasn't exactly gotten them closer to getting onto the point.
They need a self-destruct engage. If they actually have to go in on one of his ultimates, they're losing members again. 70% plus for Seoul, and Fusion have been so passive.
Yeah.
No, they literally just wait. They lose one member and they just give up.
Okay, well, they go for the reset yet again. I mean, EQO, pulse bomb from him is going to have to be massive. Self-destruct going to be thrown into the back. Everybody rotates around the side of that. Doesn't get caught. Rally armor's going out to the side of the Fusion. Funny Astro. Just keeping everybody alive, making sure the alarm is going to be, you know, pretty much impenetrable there. Self-destruct doesn't find too much, but Carpe will find two. Creative and Gesture both going to be taken down now. He's looking for another. Just out of line of sight is that last little shot into Fitz, so can't quite connect it. Will jump up over the top, tries to weave some of these arrows through. Won't get it, but Fusion will finally take the point. But yeah, I mean, 99% basically given over relatively for free.
How many fights
over to the side of the
take
Dynasty.
It feels like we took 3 fights total there, or something like that. And they weren't even really fights; they were minor skirmishes where Fusion lose one, and you know they want us kind of way. They're passively throwing in arrows, hoping Carpe lands some shots. And thankfully, Carpe does land those shots, which enables them to push forward. But they didn't act on the dragon; they had to defensively kind of self-destruct there. See how they hold now as the supercharger's out, and that's going to be dangerous for the Fusion.
Carpe falling down to 8 HP, pulls back immediately with a recall, gets himself topped up. Dragon Strike now, looking to part them here on the high ground. Amp Matrix going to be used by Creative. As Prophet looks around the back, Carpe gets picked. The Transcendence now going to be used for Alarm. Tries to keep everybody else alive as Prophet is just trying to pressure him. So the Pulse Bomb will not find a kill. Mono, however, comes up with 2, and the Immortality Field as well is going to be eliminated. So Fitz and Creative are out of the fight, and they're so very close to flipping his back on the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Just have to play off the point now. They take the fight elsewhere, so they do not regain control. So Fusion getting a little bit of a second lease on life, but gonna have to fight up against an armored up squad of Seoul Dynasty once this rally gets ready to be used. Gesture eliminated though. Good stagger.
Yep.
Slow run back for him. That's extra time ball.
Gesture might swap. He might go to ball here because time is going to be somewhat limited. Re-pushing, there it is. Re-pushing into a ball composition with an Orisa is going to be pretty painful. He's got no supercharger anyway. This is going to be one of those rallying gates where Fitz is going to need to open up the Deadeye as well. EQO is the game changer here though. If EQO is on a flank, finds the Pulse Bomb, that could be done. That could be Fusion something that taken in their favor.
Now he's going, Gesture stunned up. Oh, the shield comes in just at the last second, but he still will get hounded down. Good kill there. Mono takes him out of the fight. Flip starting to come through, 99 to 99 yet again. Question is this time who is going to close it out. EQO still holding on to the pulse, hasn't really found his moment yet. He's looking for some high value. Rally rolling now for Funny Astro. Mono falling low, pops his shield, stays alive into the fight. Dragon Strike to the side room. Immortality Field will keep Creative and Co. alive for a little bit longer. Creative also finds Hotpa, denies him the opportunity to be able to re-mech now after the self-destruct is used. EQO, however, gets a couple Prophet. He's 1% away from that Pulse Bomb, and Gesture will fall as well. The staying power of the Seoul Dynasty is being bled dry right now on the point. Carpe, however, jumped on. Fitz comes down from the high ground, manages to find that kill. To looking for some picks, looking to create some space. And they maintain control. Immortality Field comes down yet again. Fitz, Deadeye comes out. Trance comes in. They try to keep everybody protected. The pile driver pops them up, but the Deadeye's still not going to find value outside of Hotpa's mech, which is still going to be good. The pulse stick from Prophet finds Alarm. They get them off the point for long enough. Mono cannot continue to contest. And Seoul Dynasty will be able to take 2 extremely close rounds on Busan, 100 to 99 in both. But they get the map win crucially.
Crucially as well, and this is really important here, but Seoul take both the neutrals fairly comfortably. Just one kill, they take that point, early lead. It's always Fusion having to make this catch-up happen. And I'll be honest, in that final fight, it did look like it was possible for Fusion to win it. Was a bit of a whiff Pulse Bomb. Dragon Strike went through the small room on the side when, I don't know, maybe it could have gone over towards the point as well. When you're in OT, pressuring the objective to me makes a little bit more sense. They lose Funny Astro, but Alarm's there with the Transcendence. That was the moment for Fusion to clutch up and win. You win during the Transcendence, or you basically don't at all. If Alarm then dies while Funny Astro is coming back from spawn, it's going to be very hard. Like I said, Mana no HP, couldn't quite get the touch, and it's all over. But it was very close. I think it's not quite a nightmare scenario for Fusion yet or any team. It's still in a sort of position where I expect this to be a very tight match.
Well, starting up a map, now here for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Definitely a nice change of pace for them and for the fans compared to last week. We'll not have to rely necessarily on any kind of a reverse sweep scenario, but they still have to close it out. We'll see if they're going to be able to do that, take one step closer to victory, or if the Fusion can tie us up when we come back for the next map. So stay tuned, guys. Action's continuing in just a few.
Taking the objective will help be appreciated. I'm on fire, not hot.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Alrighty, we are back, and the tension is mounting. Quite palpable in here, Avril, as the Seoul Dynasty very narrowly managed to take Busan to 0. It was 199% in both of those rounds, but they will start off this series with that map win behind them. Do not need to pull off full reverse sweep now if they want to find victory, which at this point, is that a good thing or is it a bad thing? Would you rather see them in a position where they have to reverse sweep, where they've been fairly consistent at it, or would you rather see them ahead? I think if you're a Seoul Dynasty fan, you're not really sure how to feel.
No. Well, I don't think anyone wants to see their team have to reverse sweep. That is probably the most uncomfortable place to be. And I actually wanted to mention this in the pre-show, but we got into the game mega fast there. But I like to consider this game as potentially one of those new rivalries that are brewed up, and specifically for this year as well, because we didn't really get a Seoul Fusion kind of thing last year. They did play in the playoffs, the final top 4, I believe, last year, and that's kind of where things started. There was a bit of trash talk between Arnold and
Here's
Fusion,
a 3-0.
Arnold, who's COO of Solve to Fusion at the start of the year when they had their first matchup, and I think this is a really cool matchup between two teams that I consider to be fairly close, and I kind of want to dub this match the Orange Bowl, even though I know Soul's colors are technically gold, but I just want this. I want to call it something, and to me, this matchup is either the Orange Bowl or it's the team who can disappoint their fan base the most bowl. So you pick, which one is it? As honestly, it doesn't really, to me, it doesn't matter who wins, Achilles. So what matters to me is who loses, because I will be relishing in the Reddit later on in the match thread the anguish of the fan base that loses, because I'm sure there will be complaints, and there's really nothing more pleasurable than seeing that. So at the end of the day, we all win, no matter who wins. So that's what we're here for.
The bottomless pit of despair when it comes down to these two fandoms just crying out. It's like I feel like going into those threads at the end of it. It's like you remember like the animated Hercules, and he's like going through the river Styx, and they're all just like kind of clawing at him and trying to drag him under the water. That is all of just the sorrow, and everyone's just trying to like pull you down into it as well, because they want you to suffer even if you don't cheer for the same team as them. But.
It's shared suffering between these two teams. I think that's quite good. I think that's something these two teams definitely share.
Yeah, this could be the insufferable, I guess.
Insufferable bowl.
The insufferable
bowl of suffering. The despair bowl.
Something like that. I don't know.
Our team should be much better than they currently are bowl. I'll take either of those answers.
But I agree. This has kind of been a mounting rivalry, and I think that a lot of it does have to do with. I mean, like you said, this kind of started with some trash talk coming out from Arnold, over, from the Gen G side over towards the Fusion and T1 side. Yeah. So I think that them being so close as COOs and owners of the organizations and whatnot has definitely helped kind of bleed into this. I mean, granted, also these guys are playing about. I don't even know in meterage what it would be, but maybe like 200 meters away from each other.
I think the T1 and the Seoul and the Gen G facilities are pretty close, aren't they?
Yeah, they're like you can. I've been to the Gen G facility. I've not yet been to the T1 facility.
Right.
I might have to go visit before the season's out and whatnot, and see all the players again. I have to catch up with Ralston, who's the general manager, as well as Funny Astro at one point. But I haven't been to the facility. But from the Gen G rooftop, you can just kind of look over and you're like, oh yeah, that's where all of the Fusion guys are playing. So they're extremely close together. So I mean, like this, they could end right here, end this series, and then they could just go shake hands realistically at the end of this.
I don't want to drag the guy into this conversation, but I will because it's funny to me. But I was sitting in Shockwave chat a couple of nights ago, and I was like, "Hey, you guys ready for the game and all that?" And we're talking to the fact that because he's on the Fusion team, he's playing out of the T1 facility, and we were watching on his stream the T1 building tour together. And Shockwave just kind of nonchalantly on his stream says, "Yeah, but our building is actually bigger than the Gen G's building." I'm like, "Oh, there it is. That's the trash talk we're talking about. That's what we're looking for here. Make sure you remind Seoul that even if you lose today, no matter what the result is, our team building is bigger than yours." That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, I mean, it's my building could beat up your building. That kind of vibe between these two. I can't really get involved because, like I said, I haven't seen their facility yet, so I can't give my estimated opinion on which building would win. But guys, we are just having a little bit of a delay, and then we're going to be hopping into games.
Oh,
so
I got it.
Appreciate you bearing with us.
I have the official name for this matchup. It's called the Spaghetti Bowl to see who can drop.
I was literally just thinking this. I was actually just thinking Spaghetti Bowl.
That is actually perfect.
And it's just a matter of which one drops their spaghetti first is the loser.
Oh, it's actually perfect. I love it. I love it. That's so good.
Spaghetti Bowl. Yep. I had that one in the forefront of my brain.
Oh, please do share. You very selfishly had all that spaghetti to yourself.
Yeah. It's true. Wow. I did have that last week, so that was some fun spaghetti. But yeah, now I get to share it with you. But
thankfully,
yeah, I mean, God knows how things are going to look when we get ready to continue here in just a few moments, because we have Full Sky Industries coming up for our Assault map. We've seen some varying results. We've seen some draws in this map as well.
Defender team will go Orisa Diva, attacking team probably goes Bull Zarya. That's what I think is going to happen here.
All right.
That's not guaranteed. I think there's a chance that Gesture just forces the Winston because he's Gesture. And if he drags to into the pits of Zarya, I think that's not good. But that being said, somehow Seoul did win downtown in a Zarya matchup where Hotba diffed him. I confirmed that with stats. Hotba was doing double the damage of to you and had way more grabs. But I think as a team, I don't know, man. Like Seoul had that initial fight going for them. They had the initial, percentage on there that really helped them out. And these neutrals on controls matter so much. It is so important to get the neutral fight win on controls. So much so that I think it's actually almost overbearing. That's a different story. Moving on to something like Volskaya here, it would be good of Seoul to try and play more Diva-based matchups and not have two on the Zarya because, I mean, again, it gives Hotba permission, and when that happens, I just think Hotba's going to be stronger in this particular matchup.
All right, well, we'll see if that's going to come to fruition, but there you go, guys. We are, in fact, loaded up for Volskaya. We'll see what happens. We finally decided to press the button to start the match. I am sure that you guys were begging.
We wanted to run
Raffle
through comedy routines first. And
we weren't going to start the match until we came across Spaghetti Bowl. We had to finalize the term, and then we could get started. So we
had to run it by my
decided that we'll
boys
kick
first.
things off. I mean, it's just. I think it goes to show just sometimes the age brackets of people that complain in chat because, I mean, good God, go to a DMV and then start complaining about delays. This is nothing. You guys need to do some growing up.
Half the chat has never driven a vehicle in their life. They're not old enough to get their licenses.
Yeah. Well, here we go. Fitz instantly cruising back to the Mega Pack, stays in stealth, and can just start going on a bit of a scouting mission, see if they want to try to alter anything, but it seems highly likely that we just stick through with this comp.
So, interesting enough, Fusion are not going to play the Orisa on the defense. To be fair, Fusion, the last time these two teams played, didn't play that much Orisa. They played it seldomly. I wanted to say Hot before Zarya the entire time, but that would be factually incorrect, only because they did play a small smattering of that Orisa. But right now, not so much. Fitz gets the initial kill to Carpe. This time, Fusion can't run away. They must defend.
Yeah, can't go back to spawn and reset this time around. Doesn't work that way, but not losing anybody else. Carpe is going to be coming back into the fight. Hack goes out onto Mono. ZQO takes a significant chunk of damage. Dynasty make their way forward over onto the point and advantage. To now hound down Mono, getting rid of that Wrecking Ball. I mean, yet again, it's another member that can join in quickly, but with Alarm falling, it seems like this is just going to be such an insanely fast cap for the side of the Dynasty. No real hope of a recontest you would expect here. And Fusion players, honestly, need to start pulling away if they're not going to go in onto this point, which they do not. Now EQO is going to die. Granted, they will have the faster respawns here, but it's also going to be some extra ult percentage picked up for Dynasty players.
2U going off the map, could that be on purpose? Is he swapping to Diva here, or is this a big bait and he just kind of fell off the map for no particular reason? I think it's the latter point here, so sadly that is going to massively slow down Seoul's approach, reset your energy. I mean, that's actually one of the worst things to happen, beyond the fact that Seoul have won every single neutral so far. 3 neutral fights, Seoul have won them all. That's a one and done on A. It's a huge time bank walking on to B. Fusion don't quite have ultimates. This still could be held by a respawn advantage coming through for the defenders. But Fitz no, he won't have an EMP. Holy!
Oh, man.
That's
great
a huge
pick
kill.
off there from EQO. Yeah, that is absolutely massive. He does give his life for it, but I think you'll be more than happy to have that situation transpire, given how close Fitz was for that EMP. Prophet under a little bit of fire here, down to 80 HP. Will pull back over towards the health packs to keep himself topped up. Just you're not going to be finding too much with a little dive in.
And by the way, even while losing, Hotba is like 30+% ahead of 2U. This is the kind of Zarya diff I'm talking about here. So now, because Fitz died and they've rallied early, like that was a crazy early rally from Anima. The Yam is already basically gone. They have a 6v5 though opportunity.
Yeah, decent one here, but it's going to be a double stack support.
I don't know about that trance. It's kind of weird.
Maybe Prophet was pressuring and they thought the Pulse Bomb was going to come out either way. I mean, Alarm does have some rally armor. Grab's going to be coming in, catches off a couple members, but Prophet just turns to the side, finds Carpe, gets that elimination. Already going to be a tick and a half established now on the point. Pulse Bomb lobbed in, takes quite a huge chunk off of Hotba, but will not find the kill. But Creative, he will. Gets the headshot out onto Alarm with the help of an ammo.
Soul got a cap.
Dragon Strike's not going to get anything, and yeah, they might just actually make this cap happen. The minefield kills off Carpe. Carpe will only find 2U, and that's just the point completed. 3 minutes and 51 seconds. The Fusion, have the alarms gone off yet? It seems like they're just not fully awake.
My alarm's gone off for sure. I mean, what was that transcendence? how about you just give a free EMP to Fitz? Why not? Why don't you just give a free grab to Tuyu? But that wasn't even the only thing. It was everything. We talk about this being the spaghetti bowl, Achilleos, but I don't even know if Fusion have spaghetti in their bowl. They forgot to put anything in their bowl. They just walked up with nothing. But here at the dinner party,
it's unboiled
Seoul's got their bowl
bowl
of spaghetti. No, you cannot drop what you don't even have in the first place, right? That's the problem right now. It's 3:51 in the time bank. Right now, I'm convinced Fusion are not going to be able to match 3:51. The first step will be to just finish the map. Let's get through that, and then we'll see what kind of time we get. But that is like 3 fights, 1 neutral fight win on A, 1 and done, into a 5-minute time bank, into Fitz dying, into then Fitz respawning, Seoul then going in and capping B. That's all it was. The only thing Fusion did there, realistically speaking, was kill Fitz and stop the snowball. And even then, most teams in that specific scenario, after stopping the snowball and then collecting their own ults, because remember, after you stop Seoul from getting that 2 cap right there, they started building ultimates, and Hotba was hard diffing to you on the grab, and they had plenty to use, plenty to work with, double support ultimates, but it just all went into the bin. Everything just completely, I don't know, they didn't put the spaghetti in the bowl. Put the spaghetti in the bowl, please, Fusion, so we can see drop it later.
The other bizarre thing was just that, like, the Dynasty got in, they lost Fitz, and then they didn't leave. They just continued to play around the left side from the attacker's perspective, and they didn't get punished. Like, Creative almost died, but they kept them alive. They used the Mega Pack, and then they just waited for Fitz to come back, and then they won the fight. Like, I'm having trouble fathoming how they were allowed to just sit within the confines of the initial choke and have quick access to the point like that. That being said, that's in the past. Now we have to look to Fusion's future and see what they can do here on the attack. Mono already getting beaten, battered, but he can be a very nice funnel to a lot of ult charge, but I think he actually grabbed that Mega Pack instead. Not wanting to risk it, just keeps himself topped up.
It's been a minute, by the way.
Rack from behind. Creative kills EQO. It has been a minute, as you say.
It's been a whole minute, and not a lot has really happened here. Fusion are trying. They're going to wait for EQ to come back in. First ultimate's probably going to be Fitz. EQ has now deleted whatever ultimate he had previously. I think the Sombra's probably better in the long run, so I'll forgive him for that. That's probably okay. But Fitz will definitely have the advantage now, assuming he doesn't just die.
Carpe dashing around, spots Gesture, already has the pulse ready. We saw him get that 2-for-1 special on Busan. Could very much love to have something like that happen again, but you can tell he doesn't want to over-aggress. He doesn't want to go in and potentially get caught. But here comes the EMP, an alarm. Yeah, he's just going to be dead on the floor. Hoppa gets pulsed, so follow-up kill comes in. Mono's low. Carpe on the back trying to duel out with Fitz, but Fitz will just leap away. And now we're down half the time, bled away from the clock.
And now you have to ask, like, what is the win condition? Because EQ has swapped to Sombra, like, halfway through that kind of sort of attack there. And I think Carpe was kind of screwed here, to be honest with you. So he was not in a good place. EQ is only on 45. So you're waiting for the grab, or are you waiting for the EMP? Because grab is not looking good for Hopper, despite being the better Zarya player here. I mean, Seoul won another neutral. That's 4 neutral fights in a row now for the Seoul Dynasty, and 2's ahead of Hopper, which the one place where Fusion were definitely better than in terms of Seoul in this matchup. That's not working for them anymore. So you have double support ultimates coming online soon. Carpe had the opportunity for a really meaty pulse bomb inside the stairwell, didn't go for it. He'll have to go for something now, though, assuming he doesn't die.
I mean, well, now he's forced to recall, so going in for that kind of play is that much riskier. He doesn't have the free escape. You get the hack out, onto alarm, Punny Astro's going to pop. Rally goes out, Transcendence now going to be stacked in yet again. They use these two, but can they get themselves onto the point? Can they get situated? Carpe dashing around the back, still holds on to this Pulse Bomb. Graviton Surge going to be let loose by Hoppa. They will find 2U first. Pulse Bomb gets an ammo. That is a solid start, but the time bank still going to be significantly weakened here. It's harassing around the back. Prophet still present. Looking to come back, rather. This Gesture will fall. Prophet drops down, Creative dies, and this should be the cap finally coming in. It's, yeah, Fitz just going to get his life. Prophet goes off the side of the map to get the fast little respawn here, but they are starting with the same amount of time that the Dynasty finished with. So they really need to snowball this, but give me ults like Dynasty have at their disposal. It just seems so unlikely.
Well, that's because Seoul won the neutral. This is why winning these neutrals is so important. Yeah, like I said earlier as well, you are never going to see Fusion match this time that Seoul set, because the time that Seoul set is unbelievable. 351 is so good. So really, it's just about them capping at all. And, you know, we can wait for this EMP, but Fitz has another one. That's a good kill, but grab came through for 2U as well. Where was that? No idea.
I am not certain.
Might have been a fail.
That might have been a little Nene Michelle action going on. Not too certain, but maybe we'll find out with a replay. Either way, Rowley's going to be rolling from an ammo. It's the armor out on a creative. Pulse bomb comes out for Prophet, and he actually dies in the back end of using that and doesn't find a kill. Now they'll look to push forward. EMP's online for both of these Sombras. Prophet strikes first, and EQO will die. 2U pressing forward, though, is overstepped. He will get eliminated. Anamo now just trying to kite back and keep creative protected as that Transcendence is just a few percent off. Finally gets that one online as Hoppa just continues to operate like a bit of artillery, and creative actually falls, not being able to use a Transcendence. Somebody's got to touch. Gesture comes in. He's solo HP. They cannot top him up. 2U swapping over. Comes out onto the point, but has to navigate the minefield. Just a couple percent left to go. They clear the point, and it's going to be 2 minutes now here for the Fusion, so this was definitely not as bad as it could have been. Creative dying when he did was absolutely crucial for the Fusion having this time bank.
And I got to say this as well. Despite me mentioning earlier that Zarya is a bit of a trap here for either team, Hotbar is honestly outperforming so well on it that I forgive it. I will allow it, and there's a couple points here in terms of both A and B, but on A, you'll have remembered, if you just wind back the clock a little bit, Hotbar was behind 2U after Seoul won that initial neutral fight, right? He was, what, 10 to 20% behind 2U? He got the grab before 2U, who then dies on 98%, being caught in Hotbar's grab. So Seoul didn't have the ability to kind of pull the trigger first in that regard. Then you look over towards B. I was very surprised and kind of disappointed in the way EQO played his EMP situation on the Sombra there as well, because he had full EMP and yet was just hard frontline Sombra spamming his SMG, revealing himself in a situation where it's going to come down to an EMP versus EMP battle, because Fitz also has EMP, but the difference is Fitz was invis. Fitz knows exactly where EQO is playing, where he's standing, because he's revealed and spamming for some reason, even though he's got an EMP, and EQO was not actively looking for an EMP, which I think is a huge mistake. He ends up dying, being caught by Fitz, and it's all over, except Hotbar hard carried that last fight. He builds up a lot of energy, he's doing a ton of damage, and he stays alive, and he completely mows down and just beams down the rest of Seoul. So thank Mr. Hotbar again, that despite Fusion making mistakes, Hotbar's dragging you across the line.
Well, Fitz gets the scouting report. Lets the rest of the squad know what to expect for this defense, and, well, Creative already finds an opening pick. It's funny, Astro gets taken out. Discord Orb is in on the Carpe, and Creative. Shades of Jonak in his prime right now. He has been absolutely instrumental to the success that Dynasty have found. Granted, yeah, died with the Transcendence in the last fight there on that defense, but otherwise, like, his neutral game has been basically flawless from what I've seen.
I mean, all of Seoul's it's literally 5-0 right now. I'm keeping score. That's correct. Fusion have not won a single neutral. They've been first picked 5 times in a row, and by the way, it's not just about first picking. It's not just who kills who first in this sort of discussion. You can recover if you lose a member. You can trade for a 5v5 and then maybe turn the fight from there, but that doesn't happen so far for the Fusion. So they're just perpetually behind, and now EQO is 20% behind Fitz. Hotbar will do a bit of catch-up versus 2U as well. This is the opportunity for EQO to get something done. Good hack on a gesture, but no opportunity to actually collect a kill.
Yeah, gets a decent amount of build there. Nearly catches up the Fitz, but then has to leap away. Starting to finally step in onto the point now are the Fusion. Fitz looking for a target to hack. Spots Alarm in the back line. With the help of Creative, they will take him down. Prophet tries to go in for a kill, though. Gets shield bashed, and Carpe is there to alley-oop.
They finally trade,
Scoops the final blow, and yeah, Gesture will go down. Fusion really starting to come alive now, but with 30 seconds remaining, they have to get this cap. They have to get something at least established on this point. Otherwise, they're going to have to try to play for a draw. Anamo, that's going to be questionable. Might need to see what the hell happened there. Goes up the side of the map. Fitz will fall. Maybe it was an unrecoverable boop off the side. Couldn't quite shield bash his way back in, but Creative does pop the Transcendence to buy a little bit of extra time, but they're going to have to just go ahead and play back over at point B now.
What is that fight? That was like Seoul get the first initial kill, which they've been getting every single time, but then Fusion finally respond with 2. This is what I'm talking about. You can't just give up. If you were down 5 versus 6, your initial thought process has to be, we got to trade. It can't be we go backwards. And when they do trade, they suddenly turn to 5v4. And then Animo sends himself off the map or gets spooked or whatever. EMP comes through from Fitz now. Alarm is deleted.
I mean, yeah, the Dynasty, they just look at the pushy envelope and really up the pace, up the aggression. They go straight in for the kill, find Alarm. Counter EMP now comes out, though. Hacks out onto 2. Creative will fall.
Rav's coming.
However, nearly alive. Rav does have it now. Creative obviously going to have a decently fast run back. Rav comes in and looking to isolate Hotbar, take him out of the fight. Yeah, that's totally fine given how much energy he had. He was at 91 right there. 2U taking quite a bit of a beating. Armor comes out, however, Anamo with the rally, keeps everybody topped up. Transcendence now comes in from Alarm, rejoining the fray. Hack out onto Funny Astro, Bubbles flying into you, just keeps everybody safe. They're shoved off the point for now as Jester crashes through both supports, absolutely flattens him, and the OT will bleed down. Carpe touches in for one final moment, but they cannot get any percentage established on point B. Dynasty have a win condition, Fusion playing for the draw.
I mean, honestly, I look back at that initial kill, that kill onto Alarm now, that EMP from Fitz landing, deleting Alarm almost instantly. That has a lot of compounding effects on the rest of that fight, because what then happens is you see this grab solo onto Hopper, and honestly, it's fine. We'll get back to this. Okay, so he does eat himself up. To be fair, to all the fans that are about to be like, Animo bad, Animo make mistake, Animo suicide off the map, he was trying to shield bash EQO. He got baited by EQO, translocating away, and Animo simply yeets himself off the map because he missed EQO, who got away in time. So if Animo had hit EQO, this would be a different discussion. We'd be like, wow, Animo's so good, he catches EQO. But now it's the opposite. But back to what I was saying earlier, it's because Alarm was dead and it was on 91% whatever Transcendence, Fusion don't have time to reset. They have to take the fight. Hopper gets solo grabbed, and you know what would have saved Hopper? An Alarm Transcendence, but Alarm was dead. So because Alarm got killed by Fitz's EMP earlier, then Hopper getting solo grab, who then didn't get a grab it on Surge, who Hopper's probably the most dangerous player on Fusion right now in terms of the ability to carry the team through to a cap. You remove that out of the picture, 100% worth on a solo grab, suddenly Fusion have no legs to stand on for the actual cap itself. So very good pickoffs from Fitz and then from 2U.
Here we go. Out on the attack. Like I said, definitely winnable here for the Fusion if they could pull off this defense. I mean, during the 3 minutes, absolutely possible, especially since they have been looking better in the latter half of this Volskaya. Fitz just rotating around, giving away positions here to the rest of his team. Instant mash, really great reaction. Wow. Funny Astro leaping on him. Unfortunately, can't try to line up for a kill, but it's good to see that kind of reaction timing coming through from your Brig player. Gesture. Just looking to shove them off this high ground as Prophet harasses from below. It's back over. Carpe in the garage now, duking it out. He abandons the fight against Fitz, goes over, kills Prophet. Great turn from Carpe. And now it's a very segregated section here for the Seoul Dynasty. Everybody kind of split off, now gathered up. They all shift into one single room, and this could just be an absolute meat grinder situation for them. As the Fusion, they get aggressive, they look to push in, and Hanba is just taking names right now.
He doesn't even have energy. He's got like 3 kills on 10 energy. He's like doing minimal damage and somehow still getting these final kills. And you know what? Creative landed an insanely hot Bionate lands on both Alarm and Funny Astro. Hopper does a great team bubble on Alarm, who was on 1 HP, prevents him from dying, and they do not lose either support. Like, this guy is hard carrying on Zarya even with no energy right now. This is why he's getting solo grabbed, and he is the primary target for hacks.
Yep.
And it will happen again. Here we go. Nano boost on a Gestures in the next play.
Half the time gone now. Just about to be. Mr. playing right around the front here. Doesn't want to waste the leap to try to get on top of Mono. Knows that he can just go ahead and roll out unless they get the hack onto him. Nano's going to be used. Jester takes to the high ground, pushing up. Bubble comes down. Needs to play respectfully, though, to this Discord Orb. Now dives in, and here comes the knockbacks. The Primal, he's trying to get off the side of the map, but somehow Alarm just, I don't know, the gravitational pull of the earth brings him back onto the platform. He doesn't go sailing over the side, does not waste the Transcendence, stays in the fight. Now they have the rally to try to buy some extra time. A single tick is all that has been grabbed so far for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. And as time goes on, this is looking like maybe the draw could happen, if not just a map win for the Fusion.
1 minute, and it's going to come down to an EMP fight. This time EQ needs to be invis. He needs to set up for this. Certainly is invisible this time. That's great to see. Who pulls the trigger first? Now Fitz versus EQ. That could be it. Alarm caught.
EMP goes out. Yeah, Alarm, the first one to fall. Funny Astro's still going to be hacked, but not under any pressure. Second tick going to be established now by the Seoul Dynasty here on the point. Jump down. EMP comes out, but it's only solo onto Anamo, and he's already got the rally rolling, so he's still offering up armor to everybody. Pulse bump from Carpe. Going to be a bit of a whiff. The grab as well from 2U. Not super great, but it does catch Hotba inside the garage, and they manage to collapse onto him. Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's worth it. Just go for the solo grab onto him. It's absolute value. But this is Seoul Dynasty investing just about everything that they have to get this initial cap. Now it's 48 seconds in the time bank, and they need to get this single tick on B if they want to win this.
It is literally Nano Gesture versus Hotba on 0 energy. Okay. Hopper can maybe save this. He can maybe bubble somebody who's, getting caught here, farm a little bit more. But it's a Nano versus that. The Nano could be enough. Honestly, defend a small advantage might just give Fusion the draw here. That's kind of what they're waiting on as well. Some more ultimates might come online, and that's a huge pick-off.
Absolutely massive. He will have enough time to rejoin in the fight, but they cannot afford any more casualties. But with 2U getting solo grabbed, Hotman saying, hey, how do you like it? Shuts him down. Hack now on the gesture as he tries to go for the exit. He's low HP. The Discord Orb is on him, and they will find the kill. There's a few seconds remaining, and somebody is going to have to touch. See who is nearby enough to make it happen. Prophet makes his way onto the point, clips a mine, immediately has to recall out, blinks back. Transcendent sitting here for alarm, rallies out from Funny Astro. Fusion, the OG starting to bleed away. They almost have it. The touch barely comes in, but the pulse bomb now is going to shut down Anamo. Creative is out of the fight, and it seems like we have a draw on our hands. The Fusion are not willing to let them get this 2-0 lead. They do not want to have to try to reverse sweep this. GU now going to be demeched. The EMP comes in from EQO just to seal the deal. Prophet and Fit still alive. His dying breath. The pulse bomb goes out. It will kill Alarm, but it's not going to be good enough to get the tick. The draw will occur, and the Seoul Dynasty will remain ahead at 1-0.
Wow. Part of me almost knew this was going to be a draw, but I didn't want to say it. I don't want to speak into its existence. But here's the problem, Achilles, is I thought about it, and it's already been done. At that point, the Elder Gods, they've already peeked into my brain, and they've seen the draw coming. And at this point, you looked at that last fight and you thought, okay, it's Nano Gesture versus a grab, but Hotba's on fire. It doesn't even matter. He'll find a good grab. It's a solo into 2. And this time, the solo into 2 was pretty worth as well, because 2 was close to his own grab. That actually could have been a Fusion win. I will go as far as to say that I expected Fusion on that A defense to get a completion, but the problem was, once again, Fitz gets a slightly better EMP. EQO only gets a single EMP. He pulls the trigger second, gets a solo EMP into Animo, who already used a rally, which basically means that EMP does nothing, and Fusion just could not get that A defense. I thought that was pretty winnable from the Fusion. Could have been a 1-1, but we'll stay at 1-0 for now.
Well, I mean, Fusion fans probably breathing a sigh of relief, but it's very much not out of the woods yet, so still pressure is on them. Seoul Dynasty will remain in the lead. We'll see who can pick up another one, or if we just get another draw. Why the hell not? I'm all for it. Take the series as far as it can possibly go. Guys, we're going to go to a break, though, and when we come back, we'll have Blizzard World coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League. The Overwatch League is brought to you by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Alrighty, we are back. The score has not changed. We have a draw on Volskaya, meaning the Seoul Dynasty still find themselves up 1-0 in this series. Philadelphia Fusion holding on by a thread there, but they managed to force the draw. But now they need to get some wins on the board. We're getting ready to go to Blizzard World, Avril, and I don't know about you, but my memory goes back to remember Fusion kind of getting absolutely stomped on Point A of Blizzard World against Seoul Dynasty way back in like the May Melee towards the beginning of the season. Let's see if they can find some stability this time and actually keep Alarm alive.
That being said, and I just checked the scoreline now. First of all, that was a Fusion won that matchup 3-1, but they also won Blizzard World 4-3. So despite having Alarm, hard spanked on a respawn simulator, they recovered. He recovered, they recovered, and they were all fine. And it ended up being that Fusion's attack, I believe, was pretty phenomenal, despite the defense being like one of the fastest attacks on Blizzard World maybe ever. That's a fun VOD to go back to one day. But for now, though, one thing that we can say in terms of how they played just on Volskaya compared to what we saw last week is that last week it was a solid victory 3-2 on Volskaya, and now it's a draw, which you'd have to say is an improvement for the Fusion. So we, have that going for the Fusion, despite I think Fusion would rather they started 2-0 here. So they started 2-0 last week, and now they're starting 0-1, which is worse. And the good news is, all right, Seoul fans, you don't have to reverse sweep today. You got that. You can take that one home. Don't have to reverse sweep. It's done. Now let's see what happens on Blizzard World, where you say Winston, you remember Jesse Winston, but I still think both teams might lean into the Orisa, especially Seoul. I think I would expect Seoul to lean into the Orisa here. Even for the attack? I think Orisa is very good on this map. And I don't... okay, I'll give you this. Gesture might just be too comfortable on the Winston and may go towards it. He may feel that way. It may come down to, Gesture, what do you want to play? And he says, I want to go Monkey. And they're like, all right, we're going to do that. And that's what they do. But, objectively speaking, again, if I'm looking at this map and I'm telling Seoul what they should be doing, I think Orisa is the right call. All right, well, we'll see if they land on that same conclusion or if they'll have some varying theory. Gesture just going to be hovering the Hog for now. Look for that opening. Hog Zari, by the way, is my favorite plat composition out there in ranked. I say that obviously sarcastically, as I actually hate it with all my will. Well, you being a Wrecking Ball player, I can see why. Getting pulled all over the place, definitely not the best feeling in the world. It's also like if it's on my team and it's like, I don't want a Hog teammate if I'm bald. There's just nothing to work with there. It's completely useless. But quite literally, you could say it's torture. It's hogging. Exactly. Good callback. Is both teams are going to stay on the ball, so I would say that, forget everything we talked about. There's no Winston, there's no Orisa. It's going to be ball time on both sides. This should technically play better for Seoul, because again, I just think Fitz has had a better game on Sombra than EQO, and that should continue here, especially if it's versus Zarya matchup where there's no Diva to spy check you.
I'm out.
Mono getting hacked, harassed a little bit, but manages to survive. Discord Orb out onto Alarm. Hack again onto Mono. Discord Orb shifts over to him. He's taking quite a beating, but it seems like he's still going to remain fairly elusive. Prophet just poking around the back and sees Funny Astro over there. Doesn't want to get shield bash and nuke. Just like Tuyu did. Oh my god. Popped up into the air and just disappears in an instant. EQO finds that kill. And that is going to have to be a hard reset here. Nearly a single tick snatched up as everybody will just pile in to finish off Creative. Get that nice little added stagger. But, yeah, first volley, very well defended here from the side of the Fusion. Clearly, I think they might have reviewed a little bit of tape when it came down to that last time they played on Blizzard World. That was great. That destruction to you was just beautiful to watch, and that's going to secure Hopper's lead now. Not that I had any, lack of faith in Hopper securing the lead anyway, whether they win or lose that first fight. And speaking of which, that is going to be Fusion now taking a neutral, so well done. I think that's well deserved. They will no longer just be giving these away and early advantages away. Mano's obviously way ahead of Gesture as well. Another solo kill, another frag on the Creative just to put Fusion further ahead. Yeah, nice pick. Also gives EQO a slight little lead towards this EMP. It's up 5% at the moment as Fitz forced back yet again. So just popping that bubble, just denying that damage away. EQO so very close to being able to shut them down here.
is going to come down to an EMP fight again. So it's EQO versus Fitz.
Yeah.
EQO has the first EMP. When he finds this EMP charge, you need to see the setup straight away. Fitz is going to get aggressive though. He's actually pretty close.
Good interruption on Mono, and they will manage to outpressure him. EQO,
What?
he's gonna
How?
die. Gesture kills him. Oh, that cannot happen. Now Carpe as well, picked up by Prophet. That's just got to be point A going over. I mean, EMP could just be held now for the streets phase. You would anticipate other members will go ahead and slink out of here. Escape out the back with their lives intact, but now it's gonna be 4 minutes on the time bank here for the side of the Dynasty. I mean, I don't know.
This is like the worst case scenario for the Fusion because they did not force out any ultimates. Soul literally capped that for free. 0 ult spent, nothing expended whatsoever. They just got a free cap. And now they're going to save all these ultimates. Okay, Fitz kind of got revealed. They don't know. They know he's hanging around, but they don't know exactly where he is. And there you go. You don't have a diva. You can't spy check, and Fitz knows it.
My ultimate is ready.
See how quickly Alarm can react. It's pretty damn fast is the answer. Beautifully done from him. Gets the Transcendence off to try to stay alive. Creative will have to see if he can do a bit of the same. Gesture falling low, isolated off on the flank. They're trying to keep him alive to you, offering up bubbles. The heals coming in, but it's not enough. It'll be a trade out, however, on these Wrecking Balls, both having fallen. Carpe finding nothing now with the Pulse Bomb. Prophet, much of the same. Grab solo onto Hatma again in the corner. Transcendence is perfect for Creative. Cannot keep Anamo alive. EQO does find that kill on the back end of his EMP. Heart halted here for the time being as the tanks come back into the fight. And it seems like the Fusion are just going to give some space over.
Dude, Hopper's hating this right now, but if you are the rest of the Fusion, you're like, okay, as long as I don't stand next to Hopper, I will never be grabbed. But damn, that was such a great reaction, Transcendence from Alarm. Like, the timing was impeccable, completely outplays Fitz there. So finally, you see a poor EMP from Fitz, and this continues. Now Hopper's dead again.
Yep, he is, but Fitz and Gesture have both fallen, so it's still a decent look here for the Fusion on this defense. They push around the corner, just got that sight on Prophet. Forces him back, he'll retreat. There's the Translocator, gets ready for another attack. Fitz, however, in a firm lead towards this EMP.
There's still ultimates online as well, 97 for Alarm, so he's even outpaced Fitz here, and that's just the power of Alarm, right? In my mind, still one of, if not the best flex support in the entire league. Maybe got a little bit robbed in the MVP stuff, but whatever. Prophet's on there, he gets Carpe down.
Yep, good little pincer maneuver. They managed to find Carpe. Minefield now coming down, just trying to keep them off this cart. EQO on fire, so very low. Orb of Harmony steadily will top him up. He does manage to survive. He's about to have this EMP ready to roll. Good catch up from him. Transcendence, however, already going to be used by Alarm. Now the EMP can come in from Fitz. This is going to be absolutely massive. Stick is out. Prophet not going to be able to find that kill as the bubble comes back in. Prophet actually gets cut down. Alarm gets the elimination. EMP, however, manages to find 4 members of the side of the Seoul Dynasty, and the kills will follow suit to you in the corner, trying to survive. Says, please let me hang on to my energy, but they will not allow it. And just in front of point B, the card is now going to start to roll back.
Excellent outplays coming through from the Fusion. You actually saw that EQO lands a 4-man EMP. Fitz only gets 2. So EQO gets a much superior EMP compared to Fitz. Not only that, by the way, you saw that pulse bomb from Prophet. The reason why it doesn't kill Alarm is because Hopper puts the bubble on. So another great play from Hopper, having these bubble cooldowns maximized in terms of its efficiency. And they keep holding on, only 1 minute to go. And it's very likely they could get a hold here. We're looking at Rally, we're looking at Grav, we're looking at 2U probably go for a solo Grav and a Hopper. And that might be the only way Soul can do this.
Oh man, Alarm, I was just about to say both of them are just dueling back and forth as far as just their presence in this series, but then Alarm gets the better of Creative at the very end, just really asserting his dominance. I mean, this is a far cry turnaround, just a huge turnaround rather, from Alarm based on how things started for him. Creative was winning out at every twist and turn, especially on Volskaya. Now Alarm really coming alive.
The good news here is Soul do have a lot more ults to work with than previously, so it's good for Soul. It's going to be a really bloody fight now. Early rally, so we're going to pre-rally into this one. 2U's already been discorded. And I think Hopper right now, if you are Hopper, you are very much looking up for 2. I wouldn't be surprised if both Zarya's just grabbed each other simultaneously.
I mean, it absolutely could happen. Or just, if you get grabbed, just use it defensively. Just try to keep them peeled away. Just try to keep that other Zarya away from you. First one comes in to you. He's going to die. The grab goes out, but I don't see quite where it landed. Pulse Bomb goes in. Takes Gesture quite low. Fits around the back, trying to farm, trying to get in on top of these supports. Discord Orb is out on the Funny Astro, but he is under absolutely 0 fire. Alarm, however, will fall as Prophet gets on top of him, builds up this Pulse Bomb. Creative gets rid of Carpe. A lot of that backline access now eliminated, and Hoppa, so very low HP, will offer up one final bubble in his dying breath. Minefield will buy just a little bit of space, but it will not stop this cart from moving forward. They get the final clear out onto Funny Astro, and it's a minute and a half added to the time bank. A second lease on life here. A final opportunity for the Dynasty to try to complete Blizzard World.
I mean, you say, where did the grab go? Both Zaryas did exactly as I said. They literally just grabbed each other as soon as they saw each other. But it was two, they got instantly melted. That's despite, by the way, the creative trance which came on in. So a little bit surprised that 2U gets melted, but the rest of the team does get saved. Both EMPs are available in Seoul. Massive clutch on B in a fight where, honestly, it could have gone either way. That could have been Fusion's. But it will now be opportunity to get extra distance here. All distance for Seoul will be a bonus. They are not expected to finish this at all. Solo EMP into Alarm just for a little bit of pressure.
Almost gets EQ as well, but here comes Funny Astro again. Just Johnny on the spot. Nails Fitz with the shield bash. Prophet has to escape. Doesn't have that recall up, so just pulls back over to the carpet with the rest of the team. EMP from EQO. Be the turning point to find some stability. You can see him lurking around the back. Spots Gesture. Fitz found him, though. They come across each other after just a brief little moment. Will drag him out of stealth. Takes a bit of damage. Has to reset, go again.
Ooh! He scored.
Gesture gets right on top of him. 7 HP remaining, but he actually manages to survive. That would have been some incredible distance gained, but creative as well. Just alleviating his own pressure. Gets rid of Carpe. One less person to slink into the back line and try to get that elimination.
Has to go for this. Oh, he just reset again. You need to see this EMP. It has to happen.
Is so very close. Transcendence first, however, going to be up for Alarm. The double support ultimates are there. EMP comes out from EQO, gets the hack onto Gesture, but otherwise it's just two, he and Fitz. 2U going to fall, trade out onto Mono, as both sides lose a tank. Gesture comes pile driving in, gets hacked immediately as he hits the ground. Now he's going to get finished off. Pop-up grab online, slaps it down. Fitz just going to be focused. Oh, he tries to use the EMP, but it's going to get animation canceled there as he dies. Fantastically done by the Fusion, but they gave him a lot more space than we might have anticipated given how things were going around point B. Took a damn long time, but they finally stabilized and they stopped him from finishing this map, so there's a very real win condition as they get ready to go on the attack.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie here. That is a lot of bonus distance for a, OT push onto B that might not have even been a win for Seoul. And, you know, anything they get on C at that point is fine. So the fact that they go all the way to the end is way more space than Fusion can afford to give away. So Seoul rescue that one. That, to me, despite not being a cap, not that I expected them to cap because they only had a minute 30, it's about as good as you can get without finishing the map. And EQO, look, we waited with bated breath on that last EMP. And to be honest with you, it caught the mind, which is ideal, because you saw that Gesture was going to go for the mind play. EQ was saving that EMP, eventually blows it out there, and it's going to cover the entire minefield, get rid of it, or at least just shut it down, allowing the defense to actually make some moves. Hopper finishes with a grab, and that's all you need to see at the end of the day. Double trances did already get popped previous to that. So, good overall defense, but there's a world where Fusion probably should have held on B, and now, I mean, we'll see if that comes back to bite them or not, as Fusion will now be prepping for their own attack. The distance that Seoul have garnered on C, I think, is, again, to reiterate my point, probably too much for Fusion's liking.
1. Attackers incoming.
All right, well,
Defend objective A.
moving back in now for Fusion's attack. Not going to be seeing any alterations to either side. Still just going to be sticking with the Wrecking Ball. So even on the defense, Gesture not going for the Orisa, which we might have anticipated, but decides to change it up, decides that they want to have as much backline pressure as humanly possible.
They, I don't know, just throw that strategy book out the window for now. It was something that Seoul played a lot in their previous matchup, and they've chosen not to do it at all here. And I thought it was a good matchup for them, but now trust in this kind of ball composition. To be fair, I did say Ball Diva would have been the preferred composition from my POV, but Ball Zarya is close anyway. I think acknowledging for Seoul, if you are Seoul, acknowledging that Prophet Tracer, Fit Sombra should be
creative.
A diff against Fusion is maybe the right way to play him. There you go. Carpe hacked.
Support's under fire, but Fitz will find Carpe. Good elimination there. Buy some space for the supports. Breathe a little bit easier now, but Carpe, he's going to go on the reapproach here pretty soon. Slow builds for just about every ultimate right now. It's just poke and proddy right now.
This is like a repeat of what we see from Fusion's attack. It's just like a minute worth of rotating and prodding and nothing really happening. Sure, Carpe went down, which is a reset. Now they are going into it. Gesture survives, by the way. To 1 HP. It's also a tick.
Stay in the fight. Yeah, tick though. Tick and a half now. Going to be given over. Getting closer to that second one. Gesture and 2U kind of have to be the ones to step forward, but Gesture falling low yet again. Has to pick up the Mega Pack. It's not going to be fast enough to try to get the healing through. But Creative would love to heal him up. Prophet goes forward. That is going to be a stick. Transcendence is out, but all that damage, it only goes on a mono, and it immediately gets topped back up. 4 kills now on the back end here, and the EMP is still held. Transcendence does get used, but otherwise, Fusion, not too bad. Have the EMP to try to swing the next fight as they get ready to move forward into the street space. Fitz jumped on. Looks like Translocator was destroyed. No way to get out. Just has to go for a reset.
I mean, the silver lining there is I think Fitz probably wants to just finish off his EMP charge anyway, but Alarm made the difference there. He's still ahead of Creative. He had a Transcendence so fast, uses it for tempo purposes, wins a team fight, and they get to retain the EMP. So retaining one of those 2 ultimates is ideal, and I think if you want to be an offensive team, which Fusion are right now because they're attacking, retaining the EMP is more preferable. So let's see how they go now, because he does have to outplay Creative, and on top of that, Fitz can get a free EMP here, while Alarm has got nothing to use.
Oh, they find Gesture lurking around the front flank. Oh, they get that punish. That's absolutely massive. It's not really prepared at all. EQO throws out the EMP. It's Fitz throwing out the EMP. Hacks EQO. Alarm going to be the only one to die. EQO says, okay, that's fine. I still have it. Just hold up the cart for just a moment. Let's get ready to come back into the fight.
That's kind of a freebie for Seoul, though. I mean, yeah, you just stop the entire engagement with the Philadelphia Fusion. You buy yourself another 10 to 20-ish kind of seconds here when time is going to be quite relevant because you need to see Fusion pretty much complete the map here. Not literally, but to the end of the map. I mean, look at where Seoul were. So it's going to be nearly 6 ultimates now for Fusion. This has to be a fight when they need to get a lot of distance here.
Duo instantly falling low. Has to pull back. Carpe on the hunt, just searching around, trying to track Prophet's location. Gesture going to be hacked yet again. Falls low, will get eliminated. DPS duo from the Fusion, find the kills. Grab comes in, they're looking for the eliminations. Creative up top, spamming out the orbs, will find mono, but Alarm gets bits. Both tanks now going to go down the rally, rolling from Funny Astro. Trying to keep the DPS and Alarm topped up. EMP now comes in, will catch 2, but Creative's got the Transcendence to keep everybody alive. Hard for now to be halted in place just in front of point B. 1 more meters to go as Carpe pops the recall with about 5 HP remaining. Keeps himself alive.
Dude, this is one of those situations where I don't think Fusion should have got him. They've been very defensive in some cases where they lose 1 member, they back up. Here, they lose the entire tank line. They still pop the rally. They still go for the EMP, but you've lost all your damage. Hopper's been your main damage dealer. He's dead. He's back on a Diva. He loses mech.
Yeah, they instantly just focus fire him out. Fitz and Creative. Just so much damage output when that Discord Orb goes in. You can just click heads. Click the front of a mech, I suppose. They will finally get rid of the Baby Diva, and it's just even more time bought. Looking for the hack on the carpet. They find it! And it's just great synergy here from the Prophets duo.
One of the key things that Fusion have been doing well so far in the attack up until this point was getting kills onto Gesture, finding these hacks, getting advantages in terms of plays without having to burn ultimates, and then when they finally start to burn ultimates, they lose a fight because Creative held Trance the entire time to counter Hotba's grab, and then they waste a rally plus their own EMP, and now they're lacking win conditions. Hotba's freshly turned back onto Azaria after playing a little bit of Diva to try and recontest some time because his team decided to go for the play, and he's starting from scratch. He's got absolutely nothing. They got a minefield, a Trance, and a Pulse Bomb, and about 1 minute and 15 now to try and at least get beat.
Diving in, they're looking for Alarm, or at least to maybe try to pressure out that Transcendence before the EMP, but it doesn't manage to work. Funny Astro gets to a Prophet. A solid elimination as Appa now back over is trying to desperately build up some energy, but they're not really giving any over to him. EMP comes through, Alarm not going to get caught. Transcendence gets popped, and instantly 2 kills go over to the side of the Fusion. Clean up to you. Now they're looking for just a little bit more. Pile driver. Just make sure that they cannot retreat. They come crashing through. It's going to be an extended team kill, and now they can finally start advancing forward and look to win this map.
Yeah, good forward pressure from Fusion there, forcing the EMP to finally come through, just waiting for Fitz to eventually land it. Alarm knows he's hiding. Perfect Transcendence to save the team. No one from Fusion dies to the EMP, which is great, so now they can move on forward. EQO has an EMP advantage, and you have time for Hopper to now charge a grab, and you can see a situation now where you rotate from EMP into a fight win, into then grab into a fight win, and then Fusion can finish the map and actually take this map. That has got to be the way for Fusion to move on forward here with the time remaining.
Hack out, they look for Alarm, they will find him. Transcendence used by Creative, escorting everybody forward. Now he's not going to have that ult to try to counteract the EMP. Rally's up for both of these Brigidas. We'll see if that's going to be good enough for the side of the Seoul Dynasty, but it's going to be some nice time bought for now.
It's not bad for Fusion. I mean, this is, okay, you lost 20 seconds here, but you have a better win condition now because Creative, he blew the trance so that Seoul can, you know, stop the pressure. They can stop the snowball at least. But they haven't dealt with the EMP yet. There's still a rally, which I think is going to be good. Bunny Astro can still pop that any time. That being said, Animo also has one. Where's that grab? Solo Hopper again?
Solo catch on the hot but they haven't killed him off. It's actually going to be Alarm who falls. Now Funny Astro will get picked off, and they do eventually get rid of Hotba. It would have been catastrophic if the fight was able to get turned around from there. Crucially, the Dynasty do manage to persevere. This has given some crucial time over to the to Creative to get half of that Transcendence up.
This is like a minute gone now, but I still don't think it's the worst for Fusion. I know that sounds like copium, but they have nearly 6 ultimates. They must go first now. If Seoul win another fight off of Vince's EMP, that's disastrous. Funny Astro knows he's already rallied. That's a perfect rally. Saves Alarm.
Does he just lose it there? I think he got bashed out of the EMP. Does he manage to find anything? No. Oh, it's catastrophic. The kills start coming in. It's going to be a 2 for 3. Gesture is hacked at his low HP, but I don't think they're going to be able to finish him off. They do manage to collapse and get onto 2U, but with 15 seconds remaining, a trance and a grab. That is the hopes right now of the Philly Fusion against the respawn advantage, against
Animo needs to
more
rally.
ultimates.
Animo needs to rally very quickly now. They have to get ready for this grab to come on through. Creative also has a trance. 2U's even gone to the Diva, maybe looking for an 8 here. This is how they can save it. Seoul can win this if they stop the grab. It all comes down to a grab.
See what happens. Getting around the back line is Vince. Gesture focused with the Discord Orb. Rally now going to be rolling. The minefield comes in. Vince is going to be the lead at Alarm. Finds the kill. Immediately pops the Transcendence. Gets over to the point. Tries to clear out the mines. Give his team a bit of extra space to work with. Hotba building up the energy. Has to be respected too. Tries to pull back around the corner. And he is going to be melted out of the mech. They find the Baby Diva. Gesture now going to fall. The front line has been broken down. Anamo melted as the Discord Orbs come flying through. Alarm, his target focus has been phenomenal. And it seemed like the Dynasty would have a stacked deck to be able to close this out. The swap to the Diva, the ult advantage. But the Philadelphia Fusion managed to persevere. They push forward on Blizzard World. They now tie it up 1-1.
You have been visited by Hotba of Team Philadelphia Fusion. Many good bubbles and Graviton surges will come to you, but only if you comment, "Thank Mr. Hotba" in the YouTube chat. Wow. I mean, that grab at the end, to be honest, EQ also got a beautiful hack onto 2U, which stops any possibility of the eat from coming on through. 1 grab, 1 win, limited time. They lost so many fights prior to that. But Hotba had 100 energy in the last fight and completely bulldozed his way through the Seoul Dynasty, forcing the Fusion into a map victory. What a play. What a map as well.
Shades of Nambani for the Fusion. I mean, thinking back to the Graf Dragon whiff, they lose the EMP to a shield bash from Anamo. I mean, beautifully done, but then still manage to finish the map and get the win. Great perseverance from them, but it's not done yet. It is far from over. Both of these squads still need 2 map wins to close out the series. We're going to be moving forward into our next map when we come back from the breaks. So do not go anywhere, guys. You do not want to miss this. In fact, call your friends, wake them up. They shouldn't be missing this either. So if they're not tuning in with you, get them here. Because, man, what a series thus far. Next map's going to come up in just a few, so we'll be right back. Alrighty, welcome back, guys, here. What a series we have in our hands, Avril. Tied up 1-1 now with 3 maps played. We had the draw on Volskaya, and then Fusion are able to clinch a victory on Blizzard World. Now we get ready to go into Rialto for our escort map to see who is going to be able to finally take a firm lead.
That's right. And if nothing else, it's been super entertaining because, you know, we've had some really high highs and some extremely low lows, some very hilarious moments, people dropping off the map and whiffing ultimates, getting ultimates cancelled, some really clutch plays as well, huge ultimates, sick frags, you name it all. This match so far has really delivered on all accounts across the board for both good and bad reasons. And the stakes couldn't be higher as well because, as a reminder to the audience here, I mean, you have 2 teams, 2 storied organizations, storied teams that have been here the entire way, but have found kind of minimal success so far this year. Neither team between Seoul or Fusion have made it into a tournament. They've all kind of fallen short in the knockouts. Fusion have even fallen short of getting into knockouts for the most part. But, you know, they kind of got robbed by Shanghai in May Melee after going 4-0 into the qualifiers, and Shanghai kind of snuck in 4th seed is obviously the best team, but they were 4th seed because they lost a couple of games. Seoul, I believe, have actually made every single knockout. They're one of the few teams that have been to all 4 knockouts, but they have not made a tournament one time. And now finally, one of these 2 teams will be able to go to the Countdown Cup, will be able to go to a tournament, but the other team still, for the entire year, will not.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing to keep in mind is both of these organizations have had grand finals appearances in Overwatch League seasons. Obviously, Fusion in Season 1, and then last year for the Seoul Dynasty. So, I mean, very storied organizations in every single facet. They have played at the highest level. Granted, yeah, there's been a lot of transition for these squads throughout the years, but, I mean, this is just such a nail-biter. You know, I said in my tweet that every single map, it has not been clear who is going to win. It has always come down to that final fight, that final moment, and it just doesn't seem like there's going to be a change at all. It seems like that's going to continue to be the case unless one team really just starts overpowering the other. Like, Dynasty have been absolutely excelling when it comes down to these neutral fights for the most part, but Fusion just looking a little bit more clutch. You know, at the end of Volskaya,
both teams,
to get this win.
I think both teams have had clutch moments across the board.
Oh, they have.
If you really think about it, I mean, there is the fact that Seoul even pushed it as far as they did on Blizzard World is a clutch. Like, fight on to B, you know, was a bit of a clutch, but then Fusion had to clutch even harder. So it's a case of, like, I mean, it depends. Are you a glass half full or half empty kind of guy? Because if it's half empty, then you'll say that one team dropped spaghetti and choke, but if you're half full, you'll say that the other team actually clutched that one, and maybe both could be true. But yeah, we still got more maps to decide that. You know, this is going to go to a map 5 kind of regardless now, based on the scoreline with the draw intact, and then we go into Rialto, where at this stage, I mean, we can already see what kind of composition is rolling out, so no need for me to speculate, but I would have said that Rialto has been traditionally, next to Havani, one of the most favorable Orisa maps in the entire game, but these 2 teams have both shied away from it pretty heavily, so you know, I would have probably have said that despite it being favorable for Orisa, yeah, teams are going to just do everything else. But if you look at where 2U was standing on the Zarya, just below that is where a lot of Orisa is currently in this meta. If you were playing the bunker, they kind of just solo self-isolate with a bubble, protecting themselves back against the wall, and just solo contesting the payload while the rest of the team plays around them. That's been the meta as far as defending A on Rialto goes, but that's not Seoul's game plan. It's going to be gesture on the Winston.
Fitz scouting it out, rolls right up into Mono's face to get that hack off, but the D-Matrix going to be denying quite a bit of damage away. EQO slept. Off screen. They're looking for the kill. They pile in. Bionade clips in onto Mono on top of it. EQO will be allowed to live. Crucially, really good cover there. Reinforcements coming from the Fusion. Something to be wary about.
Not too much to speak of so far, just winning on payload distance, has reached the courtyard now, so you are seeing Fusion taking high ground. By the way, EQ got slipped again. This time, though, Creative does secure the kill almost solo, I believe. Really a place that's going to slow down EQO pretty considerably. Fitz taking the lead.
I mean, I mentioned before, Creative shades of Jonak in those neutral fights. He's doing very much the same thing here so far with the Ana, where Jonak was putting up some solid sleep darts in that last series. The difference being that, you know, Creative, he doesn't want to suffer the same fate, fall out of the tournament.
That's true.
I mean, it's another one. It's another one. This time it's Carpe. He actually is going to be able to recall out somehow. That shouldn't have been allowed, given how many people from the Dynasty had collapsed around him. So he'll be breathing a little bit easier as he does manage to get away. Prophet, though, outpacing him.
by the way, is the one time when Hotba, I would say, should actually be on the Zarya, but it's chosen to go to the D.Va instead. I mean, TU again has given him permission. He's gone the Zarya, and Hotba's decided not to make that play. Carpe dead, Mano hacked, and probably Fusion backing out.
Yeah, EQO dead again as well. I mean, Fitz, EQO's halfway to that EMP. I mean, these consistent sleeps coming in. Just, you know, the kill that we saw from Creative, getting him basically solo, has just allowed for Fitz to have so much more room. So the EMP is online, and EQO's got a hell of a lot of work to do if he wants to catch up. Fitz now tracking the positions, pops out, maybe just seeing if he can try to force the trance here. But Alarm waiting for that sound cue before he pulls the trigger.
Yeah, Fitz is like quadrupled EQO's damage at this rate on towards the Sombra. Also, he has a
EMP's
target.
good.
4-man
Alarm.
catches Alarm.
Yeah, 4-man comes out. Bionic goes on the hotba, but they actually don't manage to pile in and find any kills. Pulse bomb from Carpe, however, suffering the same fate, doesn't get an elimination. The cart is actually rolling back right now. Short hop comes in as they get the nano out onto Gesture, and EQO gets the better of Fitz. Alarm going to be taking a bit of a nap at the moment. They try to get on top of him. They offer up quite a bit of damage, and that will finally force the trance. The Carpe gets on top of Creative, finally finding some revenge. That's going to be a decent amount of space opened up now. They may just be able to roll this through. Gesture's already postured forward. Does have the primal, but
that's
going to get farmed out. I don't think he was even hacked. They just get eliminated now with 2U gone. Yeah, they really, I don't think they can contest this at all.
Oh my god, they had primal. They could have gone in.
for
Animo
it.
still got to pop the rally, so they want to play. Force the EMP.
They're trying to get on top of Anamo. Creative will die. Get a pick on a 1. Now answering rally comes out. Prophet, however, he gets a pulse onto Alarm, but would have loved for him to got that onto Funny Astro to get rid of that armor. Doesn't manage to make it happen. Hotbot trying to buy some space to you. Pushes right out around the corner for just a brief moment. Has the bubble to stay safe. Foul drive from Mono will find Prophet, but the kills come in. The return fire is looking good for the side of the Seoul Dynasty. If they can just get Hotbot out of that mech, it would do them wonders, but they can't quite break him out just yet. Mono, however, will be forced back. They actually do manage to hold this cart just 2 meters away.
Now that is clutch. That one you can't argue. That was definitely clutch from Salmi. They had no business winning that fight. It was like a 4v6. And Gesture just dies. 2U just dies. And then they come back and Gesture barely gets his primal rage and Anima pops. The rally ends up being enough.
They have nothing to survive this EMP.
13 seconds. EMP available. Alarm, Funny Astro. They got nothing. This could be a full hold.
Oh, and he spots out 3 of them. Just tracking in behind. Sees them on the high ground, but knows that they're going to have to come down just to get line of sight to try to help contest. Doesn't manage to find that hack. Fitz going to be jumping back. EMP comes out, answering the minefield. It only finds Hoppa, though, so they can't get an instant assassination onto Alarm, and he nearly had the Transcendence up. This could absolutely be turnable now for the side of the Fusion as EQO nearly has his own EMP up. Funny Astro left out in an awkward position. Oh, shield bashes over, gets onto a different boat, but needs the rest of the team to try to contest and keep things going until he re-arrives. EQO drops down, the EMP comes out and manages to find 4. Transcendence now out for Alarm. Gesture gone, Mono dead. A trade on the main tanks. Bionade is there onto Hotba. They nearly break him out of the mech. They will manage to find it here on the back end. Is that going to be enough, though? Graviton Surge comes in. Solo focus in on the Funny Astro. The post bomb in for the Big Bang combo finishes him off. Alarm isolated in the back line. He's trying to stay alive. He's trying to outduel Prophet, but Prophet had armor. There's just no way to make it happen. Sleep Dart comes in, catches Mono as he re-arrives to the fight. The OT bleeds away, and it's a full hold. Point A. Beautifully done. Absolutely clutch by the side of the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, 2 back-to-back rallies there, so effective from Animo, just keeps the team alive, and that is even with Fitz. I don't know if I want to say that he whiffed the EMP, but he got revealed at the worst possible time. That could have been pretty much as the fight went on its own, but it ends up being a solo EMP, and yet somehow it's still good enough to get the Fusion off the payload and eventually winning the OT. And here's the opening as well, where EQO gets caught. Just more sleeps as well. The Creative's been landing some of these heavily. I think that's the moment as well. You were saying, like, how does Carpe live from that? No idea. Just miraculously gets out. So
Prophet around him.
Oh, whoa! What is that?
He was going for Carpe, and oh man,
You were
EQO just said, get down, Mr.
EQO.
President.
You are really? I would have said that EQO was the president there. That's like when the president gets in front of the bodyguard and says, "You know what? It's my time." So, that was just unfortunate. You hate to see that kind of moment. Wow. But yeah, honestly, that 4v6 clutch from Seoul just completely boomed the Fusion, and that may be now the map-winning moment. You would need to see a fuller hold from the Fusion And I gotta say, I have personally not been enjoying the Fusion attacks. They've been considerably slower than Seoul's attacks every part of the way on every map so far. It takes them a minute just to get into position, just to do anything. They're waiting for picks, they're waiting for ults, they're not being very active. It is not inspiring in gameplay. When you see teams like Dallas and Shanghai, and it's like, well, what makes these teams so great? They're very active. Everything they do seems purposeful. They don't waste time. And Fusion, they're just slow today. I don't know what's going on.
All right, we're pushing forward. Already a lot of space being given up for free. Get to the first corner. This is where the contests can really start to come to fruition for the side of the Fusion. If EQO can stay up in the skies, tries to push himself away. Sleep dart out onto Tuyu. Hits the ground for just a moment. It's going to be Prophet who actually gets picked off in the end. Bionade in. They get that nice shot. It's just denying these sightlines.
Prophet and Animo could match if they really wanted to. They'd be starting a little bit further behind, or actually quite a lot further behind. EQO is already 75%, now 80 towards the barrage. Fitz trying to do something on the McCree, but there's limited sightlines. This is why Rialto is one of the best Pharah maps, because the sightlines for a hit scan is truly awful. I mean, look at Fitz's POV. He can't see anything.
I mean, they're just going to go ahead and nano him just so he can actually try to buy some space. Flashbang going to be consumed by the D-Matrix. He gets antied out, but he's still going to be all right. An alarm goes down before he can use a nano.
They need barrage.
Obviously, will be able to rejoin. And yeah, he's going to have to do the nano barrage here. But the cart is going to get right up in front of the box of victory. Carpe nearly down. This thing comes in. Oh, but somehow don't manage to see a kill. What? I'm not quite sure exactly what happened. It might have been the bug where it says that it's a stick, but it's not. Barrage either way, managed to fight Anamo. Fitz goes down, but EQO and Hotba are both going to be eliminated. Mono in desperation drops at the minefield. Prophet catches. It gets caught rather. But yeah, they need to play this cart right now. It's only Carpe. They move forward, get a little bit of pocket healing on Mono, topping it back up. Sleep dart, however, onto Carpe. They dive into the back, and they will find the elimination this time. They make sure that he cannot recall out the safety. He'll be looking to rejoin the fight. Nano now available. Self-destruct going to be sent over towards the bridge, cutting off the reinforcements, creating some space. Appa plays forward, has a self-destruct of his own. He's going to have to pop it right here, right now. Straight in onto the cart. Monkey Bubble going to be destroyed. The remake will come through. Deadeye, however, right out in front of him. Gesture going to be taken down. It's a good boot. It repositions Fitz. Means that he cannot find too much, and Carpe gets right on top of him. Gets the stick, gets the elimination. Hoppa, however, broken out of the mech. The Baby Diva finished off. Mono currently sitting at about half HP. Carpe is well under fire, dashing around. Desperately wants to get that mini pack. EQO into the back. Rally armor out. Gesture pops the Primal Rage. Just needs to create a little bit of space. 0.2 meters. And he finally gets it done. The res, it does not contest. Carpe had to recall, I believe. The Primal is good enough. The Seoul Dynasty will not be full or held. And now they take the lead 2-1.
Is that like the third rally clutch that we've basically seen here as well? I mean, look, I don't know why Creative really had to nano Fitz there. I could not tell you why. I think that was a bait. I think that's it is not a good play. That should have been a nano onto Gesture. Gesture dying at 97% should have been the end. That right at that exact moment with Fitz not really doing a lot with the nano, to be honest with you, should have been Fusion holding and maybe finishing this map and getting the W on there. But somehow, some way, I mean, they just start dropping more players. Alarm so close to a nano, doesn't quite get the chance to use it, ends up dying anyway. Carpe being slept by Creative. I mean, what a sick sleep. Again, from Creative. This entire map has just been Creative getting disgusting sleeps.
Yeah, I mean, just absolutely gorgeous from him on the Ana. And very much a major part, a linchpin in them getting that win. But now, match point on the line. Seoul Dynasty just need one more to take this over the Fusion. They need to fight back. They need to take us into, I was going to say a map 5, but that is not the case. They need to take us into a map 6. We'll see if they're going to be able to do it when we come back from the
Ready for battle. I'm going for the dynasty.
All right, we are back. Sorry about that, guys. I was just going to say back from the break, but I accidentally cut off my own audio. It's okay. Sometimes we make mistakes. I'm only human. But hey, what a series we have on our hands here, Avril. Yeah, teams can make mistakes too.
I was going to say, the Spaghetti Bowl, Kilios, has delivered on all accounts, except for the part where I get my spaghetti, because it's been dropped on the floor, all of it at all times. No, it's been a hilarious game of, again, high highs, some low lows in there. And honestly, Seoul's ability to just kind of grab these wins from nowhere is as equally impressive as it is for Philly to somehow lose a 6v4. I am noticing a little bit of the lack of Zarya now. And this is where I'm extremely conflicted, because I would like to see a Philly that doesn't have to rely on the Zarya, but that day is not this day. It is not today. Today, they need the Zarya. And when Hopper's not on Zarya, it just looks like they don't have the same damage output. They don't have the same threat. They don't have the same win conditions. It seems like everything is so much more difficult for Philadelphia Fusion. Now I fully understand why he's playing Zarya all the time. And look, the fire existed for EQO, but you didn't see that dominance. You didn't see that Jinmu-esque kind of shine, that brightness, that menacing, fire in the sky that forces you to kind of respect. I mean, we're talking about, okay, Fitz doesn't have any line of sight onto EQO's fire. Doesn't seem like he needs it. Doesn't seem like EQO's fire was outputting enough for Seoul to really have to kind of address it too much.
I mean, it was enough to force the nano boost onto the McCree, but aside from that, yeah, I mean, it was a really solid start. I mean, they bought, like a minute and a half off the time bank, or at least a minute, I think, just, forcing this whole dynasty to play indoors, get that nano boost online, then they go in, immediately the Fusion pull back, and then they just can't recover from there. But it was very hard fought by both of these teams, and that's kind of been the case throughout this entire series, is that there has been this extreme back and forth. There have just been these incredible clutch moments where it seems like anybody can take the fight at any given moment. But, unfortunately for the side of the Fusion, this whole dynasty just a little bit more clutch there on Rialto, and very much, had that leg up given that they got the full hold, so didn't have that far of a distance to cover to begin with. If they had gotten the cap on point B, even if the cart was just slightly on the bridge, we could be looking at a very different story. This could be Fusion in the lead right now, but that's not the case. Instead, it is match point now for the Seoul Dynasty with Ilios on the horizon. One more to close it out. This is not drawable. There will not be given any second chances here for the Fusion. They have to win this map to keep it going.
Yeah, well, we'll be going to a map 6 there. So if there's a Fusion win today, it's going the full distance, which at this rate, I think not only the Fusion fans, but the Seoul fans included here, again, both fan bases standing in solidarity of how intense and high stakes these games always seem to be. There's so many map 5s. I'm convinced that Seoul and Fusion are two of the teams that go to the most map 5s, and in this case, a necessary map 6.
Yeah.
And we had a map 5 previously. It ended up being a reverse sweep, which is, a heart attack for both teams, where you are Fusion, you're like, there's no way we lose this. And your Seoul, there's no way we actually clutch a reverse sweep. And so, I see it from both sides. If anything, on Rialto, I think we were kind of robbed of gameplay on B. I would have loved to see what happens on B there, but full hold into not a fuller hold, sadly, and it ends up being now Seoul in the lead, 2-1 match point, and one of the closest points they've ever been to actually going into a tournament. The other time they were this close was in, I think they had a 2-map versus Chengdu as well, and then Chengdu ended up winning that Nepal to secure a 3-2 victory.
Well, here we go. Gate's going to be opening. See the Sims to TP everybody forward off the bat. EQO going to be sticking with Afara. It's profit, at least for now, on the Tracer Sombra, but we'll see if they want to change up the lineup at all. Maybe move Fitz back over to the McCree, or maybe even have Profit try to match.
I think Fitz will eventually go back to the McCree. I don't know, it's weird in this composition because the first thing they need to do is get 2U off the Zarya, that's number one. Once he's on the D.Va, they can actually pressure EQ a lot. I think it's necessary, it's required even to have a D.Va. So they'll discover that in a short moment when he has to swap. But for now, EQ can free farm. There's zero pressure on EQ.
Ooh, a lot of pressure there on Creative. Take him down to about half HP. We'll get topped back up, however. He and Alarm are just going to be racing to try to get these nanos online. I haven't really seen anything yet.
Go for
Jump
it again.
up over the top. He goes for, oh, but EQO says, thank you very much. Easiest direct hit of my life. As he just sits right in front of him. Gets that kill. We'll see if Fitz is going to swap now. I mean, it does have 40% of the EMP. Let's see what his decision is going to be. It seems like he's going to stick through with it. Bione now out on the 2 members on the side of the Dynasty. Alarm weaving that one in. Point nearly capped now for the Fusion with Gesture going down. They will finally be able to lock this in.
And this is where you have EQ, who by the way gets slept now, but there's no one to take advantage of it, so good job, Brienne. He managed to land that sleep, and now coming on into Card Pay. I think it missed EQO, probably should have gone into EQO, but we'll be farming up Card Pay another pulse bomb. They don't need it. They have the frags required. 2U immediately needs to swap to D.Va. I don't care that he has that 75% towards the grab. They simply need to have that just to deal with EQO.
Well, bad news. He's sticking through with it, and he's trying to right-click him out of the sky.
Okay, so the best thing Fitz can do now is to translocate in the sky and to hack EQO again, which we saw how well that worked last time.
Yeah. Or just try, I mean, that or try to farm Hoppa, get the EMP, and then launch yourself into the sky and EMP them down to the ground. But even then, not necessarily going to be guaranteed results. Barrage drop comes in. EQO does manage to survive as well, so they don't even have to burn a res in this fight. He's going to be slept, but again, it's at such an off angle, no one can really capitalize. They'll wake him up, but the covering fire is there. The D-Matrix comes in from Hoppa. They keep him protected. Grab now online for the side of the Seoul Dynasty, but can they do anything with it realistically? I mean, it's likely going to have to be just a solo grab onto the Alarm or Mono, just to try to get them out of the fight.
Solo grab EQO in the sky, please. I think that at this point you got to do something about it. But you're not wrong. Okay, Hotbit's been hacked, so maybe now is the time for the grab. Maybe not. 2 members are dead. He just goes for it.
He sends it, and Prophet will find Alarm. So, I mean, it makes me think that it was actually Alarm that did get grabbed, because Prophet finds that kill, and you can see the assist there. But, yeah, I mean, the res comes in, and 2U gets killed off. Now he'll swap to the D.Va, but this might be too little too late.
It's like 85%. Yeah, you use the grab. The grab was never going to be good. There's like nothing to grab here. That's why I'm saying it doesn't even matter that he's 75 to grab. As soon as he's got a chance, you just got to swap his final fight now, and you can finally at least have a defense matrix up to the upcoming barrage. It's just got to go for the EMP, so this is still turnable, but it needs to be a good EMP.
He lost his translocator, so now has to reposition. Again, it's going to be an Nano Boost on a Carpe, which is starting to make me think that this is going to be intentional, but Fitz just dies. EQO, he finds both DPS duos. 2U falls, the barrage comes in, and this is just an absolute slaughter. Fusion are just absolutely feasting on the spaghetti. They don't care if the Dynasty dropped it on the floor. They said 5-second rule. They nom it up.
There's a difference between dropping the spaghetti on the floor because you made mistakes and just straight yeeting the spaghetti into the wall on purpose because unknown reason. And Seoul here, let me be clear about this. I do not mince my words when I say this. I put this on record. That is one of the biggest throws of a team I've ever seen in the Overwatch League. Biggest throws. How can you justify that composition that Seoul plays? And by the way, EQO does all of this without even needing a nano boost, because usually you get a damage boost onto a nano boost plus a damage boost from the Mercy onto your fire for the 200 damage rockets. Like, Seoul and 2U knew they needed the D.Va, but they changed at like 85% when it's far too late, and you just saw how free that game was for EQO. You don't even need to be a phenomenal fire, you just need to be a passable fire, and that game is an easy dub. 100-0, as easy as like it. Seoul were invisible that game. What a throw.
Alright, well, we'll swap it up. EQO off the far onto the Sombra, Carpe back onto Hangzhou. The double hit scan. Looking for the bunker setup. They get the forward corner. Here comes Mono crashing in. Pile drives into the back line. They look for creative. Trying to target the Discord orb here, but don't manage to find it. So Dynasty will finally go ahead and get their first bit of percentage so far on Ilios. Retaking this can prove to be a bit difficult, so we'll see how the Fusion try to pilot this out.
Yeah, I was surprised that Fusion even gave that away. I mean, they have a very aggressive composition here. You're Mono onto the ball, you have good engage options. Lamp is down, so yeah, now it should be the time to go.
Carpe again, just kind of getting bolted forward into Jester's line of sight. 100 energy out onto Hotpot. Oh, but he's going to fall. Saw him go down to 5 HP. Thought maybe it was going to be recoverable if he could get some quick heals, but Fitz will crucially punish him. Gesture.
And Gesture's alive.
Yeah, he does manage to stay alive, and I mean, Anamo could just farm a rally off of him right now.
This is getting... Okay, there is a kill from Carpenter Fitz. That's really good, because I was going to say, this double hit scan is really obnoxious to play. It's really insufferable because there are no shields. Mono doesn't have shields. Hopper doesn't have any, but maybe it doesn't matter. Carpe's just fragging.
Yeah, he was going for profit, and then he actually follows up and gets him in all the same with the Storm Arrows. Oh, just like that on the back of Carpe being clutch as all hell. they will be able to flip this. Now just diving down onto the point, just trying to get that last little bit of percentage towards the rally. And I mean, Prophet's going to swap it up. He says, okay, no more Soldier 76. I need to match with the Hangzhou. So surrenders away his ult charge. But otherwise, we were going to be looking at just about a 6-6 ult count.
Oh my, and Prophet nearly gets nailed again. That was Carpe's arrows for sure from the other side of the map. Taking a bit of a duel now, Prophet versus Carpe. And honestly, Fusion got away with murder there. That was disgusting from Carpe. That's Hangzhou gameplay 101, gentlemen. It's nearly 6 ultimates now for the Fusion.
Well, now need to try to re-advance over to the point with the Orisa, which can prove to be incredibly difficult. Mono just keeping himself at elevation above them so he can get those easy pile drives in. Maybe set up for a big Dragon Strike play. Tagged up, but so far, nothing to be found. EMP comes out, and that is going to be a bit of an EMP.
Solo.
Yeah, might have got a gesture.
Solo, yeah.
Either way, Mono going to be finished off. Good Deadeye comes in. Prophet finds EQO with his Sonic Arrow. Right back in onto the point. They can't quite take the lead. Dynasty will wrest control away from them. Now, getting ready to surpass 70%.
Let me be clear as well, there are so many ways for the Fusion to actually aggress in here and to find a play. You have Dragon into Grav as a combo, or you can just Dragon solo to buy space, allow you to engage. EMP is obviously an option. They went for the EMP option, only catches Gesture, instantly lamped, and the rest of the team can't follow up. Now the Dragon's coming through from Prophet, which is just going to slow down Fusion. They're probably okay with that for now, but it is going to be OT pretty soon in favor of the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, I mean, not having Zarya means that he can just throw these whenever he wants. Oh, it's a really good move forward. Mono completely isolates Fitz. Now Solo Grav catches in onto Anamo. Immortality Field will keep him alive, however.
Anamo's not
dead. Did not manage to find that kill. The Dragon Strike is not going to line up for anything. Overtime comes through, starts bleeding away. They have to play onto the point. Mono right now solo in that regard. He will get finished off. Self-destruct goes up over the top, looks for a pick. Won't manage to find one, but Carpe gets eliminated. Prophet, the only thing that can be found by Hotba. He is energized up, but the bubble is not going to be enough to survive. Alarm tries to get there, tries to peel for him. The Transcendence wouldn't have been anything as well. It wouldn't have gotten them any extra time bought.
Oh, man.
So 100 now to 54%. Seoul Dynasty responded in very dominant fashion, a significantly better read from them. And now we go to a final round to see if this is the end of the series or if the Fusion will be taking us to yet another map.
You know it's rough when Fusion with Hotbar and Zarya and a Grav available isn't going to be enough. They had at one point, Fusion at one point had nearly 6 ultimates. They had 5 ultimates, and I think the only thing they were missing is a Grav. And then Hotbar does obviously get the Grav at some point, right? So they kind of have 6 ultimates nearly at the same time, but not quite. My point is they had so many ultimates. They didn't win a fight because everything kind of whiffed. I mean, the EMP whiffed. The Dragon kind of just got sent in there. The Grav we saw, Solid Animo, didn't do too much. Everything just went sideways. It's going to be another situation where it's going to be far, except look at that. Seoul have learned the lesson. They're going to be starting on D.Va.
Okay, well, EQ looking for a cheeky knock off the side of the map there, but can't quite line it up. Creative gets himself out to safety just in time. There's Prophet's just dipping and ducking around the point. EQO hits the ground, looks to try to get that direct hit. Can't make it happen. Point getting ready to unlock, and I mean, the supports right now for Dynasty very much shoved away from the point. Playing back in the spa room. See if they can make their way over. Prophet goes low, manages to get topped up. Pile driver sends 2 into the air. Creative going to be antsied out. Alarm actually manages to find that kill. Prophet relying on this hacked pack, trying to remain ever elusive. No manage to stay in the fight.
Still no cap.
No closer to being locked down,
Nano's coming online for Alarm, and this one should actually go over towards EQO. Maybe if Hotbar's quite low here, they need some damage, they need some kills. It's going to go into Carpe again. This is the plan.
Pulse bomb goes out. Prophet not going to be able to find a stick, not going to be able to break Hotbot out of that mech. Carpe as well with the nano. Oh, as I was about to say, he doesn't find too much. Gets the melee hit, taking Prophet out of the fight. Point still not really locked down yet, though. EMP now comes out from Fitz. Back out onto multiple members, and that is Hop on Carpe sailing off the side of the map. A beautiful roll through from Gesture as Tuyu pushes into the skies, gets rid of Funny Astro. They'll lose Creative on the back end of the fight, but they managed to get that first cap. Percentage now ticking up.
I am so surprised by the Fusion game plan. Like, if you watch any team right now, especially the best ones who know how to really operate this kind of ball dive composition with the fire. Yes, I'm looking at Chengdu as the primary team in the example here. It's always a nano onto the fire, but so far the Fusion, they always choose to nano the Tracer, and the Tracer does not get the same value on the nanos because you're not getting 200 damage rockets, you're not getting one-shots. It's only really good when you have a pulse bomb, and Carpe didn't quite have one yet.
All right, minefields come through from both of the wrecking balls here. Fitz on the backside of the point, wants to leap out to safety. Transcend is now going to be used. Creative, maybe under a bit of pressure. Gesture going to be emptied out. The barrage, even at that range, still going to be effective. Finds that elimination. Profit, a decent bit of damage to you. Going to be taken away. That pulse bomb, however, so Carpe will not find any value. Back cap starts coming through, but they recontest the point. Dynasty looking to hold this one out 100-0 and end the series right here, right now.
EMP's coming. There's no defense versus the EMP. Fitz can finish this up right now.
To you under a little bit of pressure, but they get the follow-up hack out onto Mono. They eliminate him, so he cannot deny the remake. Straight back in to you, instantly utilizes his rockets to finish off Carpe. EMP comes in, it's going to find Astro and Hotpa. They're looking for some kills. Profit dashing around the side, throws the pulse bomb down onto the ground. Will not get a kill. Takes it out down a healer. Fusion will push back in. Can they get a flip finally on the board? It's 80% established from the side of the Seoul Dynasty. Hack comes in as EQO lands on the high ground. TU moves forward, tries to get that elimination, but there's still a hard pocket there from Funny Astro. And TU is going to be demeched. Already has burned that self-destruct, obviously, so will not be able to get himself back in for free. And with these follow-up kills coming through, it seems like this should finally be the Fusion establishing some control on the point.
Yeah, but this is like 40% late because they already had a nano plan to EQ. It's taken so long. The Alarm has another nano boost. This is what we're talking about when you have to look at the Fusion. It was an entire fight ago. To be honest, it was one extended full fight where they nanoed EQO finally. He pops a barrage in, and with a nano barrage at a long range, it's still a lot of damage, which is why they got the kill. But even with the player advantage, they couldn't get it done. Alarm is dead now. Nano taken off the field. At least they trade with Fitz, so they keep it 5v5.
All right, yeah, they do maintain an advantage. No Profit dead as well. Solid pickups here from EQ and Carpe, who finds yet another. And that is time bought, which is just the most valuable thing at the moment here for the side of the Fusion.
And you have to look at the ults here as well. 5 ults again for the Fusion. And we looked at the previous round and we said, okay, on that sub-map, it was another 5 ultimates on Ruins, and they couldn't quite clutch it out, and they even had the Hot Bazaar here. Here, you don't have a Hot Bazaar. It's a Fusion. You're looking at an EQO win. If there is a time and a place for EQO to be that carry, it is right now. It's on this map. The Nano's in. He's been stunned.
Stun him out. Cannot get the kill. He still holds onto the barrage, though. EMP comes out. I believe it's going to be a solo EMP onto EQO, just covered up by the Discord Orb, and they manage to find the eliminations. Could this be it right here? Could this be the end? Mono is hacked. He gets sent sailing off the side of the map with a whip shot. Creative. The peel comes through, and he absolutely just kicks Carpe right in the chin. The OT will bleed away, and the Fusion will not be able to extend this any further. The Seoul Dynasty will close out this set.
Seoul Dynasty, 4 trips to the knockouts. 3 times they were denied, but number 4, that's the lucky number they've been waiting for. And maybe as the season comes to a conclusion, the later we get in the season, the more impressive and the better the Seoul Dynasty become. Seems like a bit of a long time coming here, Achilles. I'm not going to lie here. Seoul have been rapidly improving Fusion.
That's what happened last year.
They've almost had this kind of backwards progression because they started strong. They started 4-0, had some struggles over in the June Joust and the Summer Showdown. Here, they started to come back in. This was looking like a dynamite stage for the Philadelphia Fusion. It seemed like they had started to, get some real distance here. They started to find the edge, find their groove. They were beating teams. But then they get to the final hurdle, and you know what? Seoul ends up being the hurdle that is insurmountable because they had a 2-0 lead in the previous matchup. That if they won that versus Seoul, I don't know, we could have a different circumstance. Maybe it would be Philly versus NY, it could be something different. But the point is, they had already lost to Seoul, and now they lose to Seoul again, except this time, Seoul don't give up 2 maps to start with. Seoul are the ones that get to match point first, and Seoul are the ones that clean this up.
I mean, I talked about the worries, the concerns of starting up with that map win, given their proficiency of pulling off these reverse sweeps. But yeah, Dynasty, they get it done at the end. I mean, granted, the Fusion absolutely made them fight for this. This was not an easy victory by any margin. Down to the wire in every single round played on, King of the Hill, on every single point that had to be played out across Hybrid and Escort. They had to fight tooth and nail. but they managed to come out on top. They have the most spaghetti remaining on their plate at the end of the day. Fusions has been wiped clean. Man, what a series! This is one that if your friends have slept through it, for the the NA analysts and the desk that are going to be waking up the NA casters as well. This is certainly one to go back and watch because there were so many incredible moments throughout from everybody on either side. But there is, of course, at the end of the day, only one player of the match. Personally, I kind of think maybe we should give an honorary one to Hoppa for his Zarya plays at Twists and Turns, but it's going to be Prophet at the end taking this one. And even then, I might find this just slightly questionable because there are so many good options. In my heart, I would go with Creative.
Yeah, I was going to say as well, I think the honorable mention for me easily goes to Creative. I think Prophet showed up. I think statistically Prophet showed up. And, people are saying, like, oh, why is Prophet MVP? And why this, why that? And, oh, Prophet looked a little, he didn't do that much this series. I would still say that he might not have shown up on the kill feed as much as he might if he's like really hard carrying and maybe deadlifting the team, but maybe that's a good sign as well that he doesn't need to deadlift the team. There's other people showing up and so a bit more balanced rather than a team that's relying too hard on Prophet or a team that relies too hard on Fitz even. Wasn't perfect gameplay from Fitz today. There were definitely some mistakes. Prophet even gets caught out, but overall I think Prophet's lows in this matchup were not that low. I mean, he was a very stable, consistent player in a very tumultuous matchup between both sides of the 12 players. Prophet was easily one of the more stable players that just didn't really have poor moments, I would say, across the board. So, in some ways, that is pretty deserving of a player of the match. And I did feel like his Tracer was, generally speaking, above Carpe's Tracer today. I did feel like Fitz's Sombra was, generally speaking, above EQO's Sombra today, and those were the two more important areas for the Seoul Dynasty to capitalize on, because they probably knew that in the Zarya matchup they were going to lose. And while that happened, when you get to the end and there's no more Hot Zarya, it does feel like no Zarya, no win. The Fire, in theory, should be good, but this is no Chengdu. Fusion can't quite get the success that other teams can on that Farrakhan.
Yeah, I mean, and you see here, like, more final blows, that, more than 50% of his final blows here compared to his eliminations, so 40 to 75. I think you know what I'm talking about. My words aren't really working at the moment. Brain no work, no good because of a crazy series and a crazy day of matches. But yeah, it seems like Prophet, rather than having that individualistic, just pop-off performance where he puts the team on his back, it seems like he kind of shared his playoff Prophet energy with the rest of the team, and everybody stepped up. I mean, Gesture had a phenomenal performance. He got player of the match the last time these two teams clashed, as stated before, but he looked extremely consistent, whereas in that last match, that last meeting between the Fusion and the Dynasty, he started off really rough and then really came into his performance. This was just, from the very beginning, steady across the board from Gesture, Creative, just absolutely dunked on people, and it was just gorgeous to see.
Yeah, I think the Seoul support stepped up a lot to me, because I had noticed in the pre-show here, the pre-match.
EMP canceling with the shield bashes, getting these great whip shots. They both really stepped up.
And to speak to that as well, because there was that really memey moment where Animo sent himself off the map on Volskaya. I understand that, again, he went for a shield bash onto EQO Sombra. And those are the type of plays you got to make. I mean, full credit, it looks stupid because he killed himself, but had he landed the shield bash and EQO just translocated even like half a second later, that would have been a phenomenal play. And I would take 100% of the time a player that would go for that shield bash rather than the player that isn't going to go for it. So, hey, if you send yourself off the map, it's still, like, I appreciate that he went for the play. So, to me, Seoul support stepping up also made a big difference, because I had expected that Alarm, Funny Astra were going to hard diff Animo Creative, as I think Fusion have had one of the best backlines of the year, despite their losses. I think Alarm, Funny Astra's, add a lot of extra oomph to this team by stepping in and taking a starting role. And Alarm has just been phenomenal all year. And Alarm, to me, is still individually, despite Fusion's lack of success, his individual success to me is still really high. But that kind of Fusion support diff didn't really come into play, and the impact being felt as much as I thought it would be. And in fact, it's Animo and Creative that stepped up and impressed. So Seoul's weaknesses, you could even say, kind of came through and weren't really weaknesses today, which to me added to their strength when they already had a better DPS lane.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that both of these teams put a hell of a lot of work in to get ready for this match, but it is the Dynasty at the end of the day who managed to persevere. They will be making their first appearance in Hawaii, and I mean, that's got to be elation for both the organization, for the fans here, having just consistently getting so close and being shut out at every twist and turn. I bet, to finally make that happen, it's got to be great for the Fusion to have much of the same kind of occur. Also kind of has to suck, but it is what it is. It was one hell of a series. Everybody played their hearts out. So I know there's people going to be pointing blame left, right, and center at certain players on the side of the Fusion, but I don't think that that's deserved at all. I think that the Dynasty absolutely just stepped up in this series. So it was really well done. But guys,
it's time to celebrate, not to place blame.
Exactly. It's time to celebrate. But guys, I mean, that kind of does it when it comes down for APAC for the most part. I mean, sure, there's the final play-in day, but outside of that, that is the Countdown Cup Qualifiers finished. So it's been an absolutely incredible run. I can't say thank you enough to you for joining me, to everybody else who's been on the APAC casting team, Vicky Kitty, Jaws, ZP, Doa, for coming in late night and casting alongside us, opening up the shows. For our production team, has been absolutely incredible, doing very much the same, staying up all night and putting on one hell of a AAA performance for you guys. We appreciate you sticking through and watching. Avril and I will see you again in the near future. We'll find out some more details on that later on, but boy, what a run it has been. Thank you guys for tuning into APAC. NA's coming up later on. Tune into that as well. We love you. Good night.